in the courthouse where time stood still. Generations pass on the hill, prosecutors come and go, defense attorneys putting on a show. Old district attorney thought she was tight, came in to visit her tonight. They said justice was blinded by her sins. As the trial spun, no one wins. Endless trial like a river flows. Truth and lies, nobody knows. Corruption, strict tight as a vice. In this endless trial, we pay the price.
Hey-o, folks, and good morning. Yeah, day 158 is a non-jury day, and it will be interesting to see what will be going on today. Motions hearing, evidentiary hearings, and stuff like that is on the menu, which means it might be some talking and pauses. So in the pauses and in the breaks, we will do recap of the morning of day 157. Hi, Dave. Good to see you. Good to see you too, Derek, Stephen, Kristen, Time, John, Denise, another Christine, Mike, Rhonda, and the rest of you, and hello over at X. J-Town is just, yeah. Dun, dun, dun. And with no further ado, let's go right into it. And as per usual, I forgot my nicotine pouches. I'll be fetching those while we get this show on the road. I'll be right back.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, are we just kind of going to go by Mr. Shart's outline of our issues for the day?
I'm going to ask that we don't.
Okay.
So here's the situation, Judge, and I'm not casting aspersions. I'm just saying the reality of where we are.
Okay.
From my perspective. There was a misunderstanding about the entire universe of what they wanted to bring in through Investigator Viverito, and I'll take blame for that misunderstanding. But I've gone through everything for Investigator Viverito and in the Dropbox links.
Yeah.
Not late last night, yesterday, whenever that emails came in, the state sent updated Dropbox links. I was I was trying to fix the misunderstanding pretty much all night to make sure I went through everything else that the state wanted to get in through Viverito. I'm able to speak intelligently about the entire universe, about what the state wants to get in. However, I do not have a complete working knowledge of what they've pared down, because I just didn't have time to look at those links because I was looking at the other stuff that I was trying to make sure that I reviewed before today. So I think the most efficient thing would just be if the state could go through their Dropbox and indicate what on these Dropbox they actually plan on bringing the evidence, and then I'm ready to voice my objections. I don't have a full grasp of the entire universe that the state is actually seeking to admit, and I don't see the point in litigating a bunch of things that the state has pared down. So I don't think
that.
So I think it would probably be better if the state said, this is what we're seeking to bring in, this is what we're seeking to bring in, and then I see you have a quizzical look like I'm not making complete sense. I apologize for that.
Well, I had asked both sides to get together on the pared down list, and it may not be that we need to litigate everything even on the pared down list, but it doesn't sound like that has occurred.
If it's something that we don't need to litigate, I can certainly say we can move on to the next.
Okay.
And Your Honor, Mr. Shart and the state, we've been speaking about this. We're speaking about this morning. And so to kind of orient the court, you have the initial, it's remaining witnesses through 103.
Right.
And initially, Detective Viverito was going to testify a couple times. So she had folders for her testimony with the exhibits the state intended to introduce with her. The other universe of Dropbox, so to speak, where I copied from the co-conspirator statement many moons ago back in August when we identified Instagram or wiretap co-conspirators. So those folders are in Marissa's individual folders. On, I believe, October, well, I'll ask Mr. 28th, October 28th, Mr. Abadi sent from defendant Stilwell has 3 phones, really 2 of which that they were all extracted. And so, of course, they're voluminous. We have redacted those to, in the state's opinion, a quite manageable number of either PDFs. There's some audio songs that Mr. Stilwell had on his phone.
Right.
And I believe a video. So that cell phone information combined with a reduced wiretap, and by reduced, I mean already litigated, but the state, is constantly, thinking through how to make something more efficient, and removed calls that removed calls. So that just removed stuff that we would need to, or we would intend to introduce. And the last, I guess, universe, so to speak, is in that 28 October link. There was also and it's the 30th, Your Honor, is when that link was sent. Thank you, Mr. Body. Is a Demekion Garlington Instagram where the majority of those involve group threads on IG where defendant Stilwell's Instagram is a part of that group thread. And so what Mr. Shart in the state was talking about is so I'm trying to think of how to make this simple. Is basically you have the initial Viverito folders, and the only new stuff is the phone extractions of what the state intends to publish.
From Mr. Stilwell's 3 phones.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
2.
Well, there's 3 phones. There's 2 that the state's going to be publishing exhibits from, because 1, the extraction didn't really get much data.
So 2. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor. And the wiretaps is really just the state reducing what we're going to play. So there's nothing really to either litigate or talk through with that, to my memory.
Okay. I couldn't remember. I know we'd done some of the wiretap stuff, but I didn't remember whether we had said, let's not do the rest of it until we figure out what the smaller universe is, or.
That's my problem is I've reviewed everything, Judge, and I can speak intelligently about everything. What I can't speak intelligently of is what's been pared down versus what. So that's why I'm saying I think it would be more efficient if they bring up
Okay, but,
specific things and then we can,
okay, anyway, so Mr. Stillwell's 2 phones, whatever else, and that would be what from that?
Your Honor, there is
Text chains,
text chains, songs, a video, and web searches.
okay. And then separately wiretap, and then Garlington's Instagram, which is going to show Stillwell's Instagram.
Yes, Your Honor, in a group thread. And
Okay.
there's some statements similar to Mr. Ryan and Blaylock when we had Instagram, that there is some that are co-conspirator statements, but the
Uh-huh.
vast majority are group threads that defendant Stillwell is a part of with Demekion Garlington and other
Okay.
individuals.
And then is Mr. Sumlin going to be called?
Yes, Your Honor.
So don't we need to litigate something about him still as well?
Your Honor, I believe on Tuesday when Mr. Sharp brought it to the court's attention, the state does not intend to go into anything that's speculation. I'm not sure if Mr. Sharp,
If the prosecution won't go into something speculatively, we would have no trial. Oh, choose your wording, Miss Hilton.
went through Mr. Sumlin's phone and identified what areas are objectionable, but the state would only intend to play his interview for impeachment purposes, but we don't foresee, one, the main issue that I think Mr. Shard had was getting to anything that's speculative
Right.
at all with Mr. Sumlin. And 2, we only envision having to use the statement if there's a need for impeachment, Your Honor.
I mean, I understood that from the last time we raised it, but he's saying that he believes that there's not going to be a basis of personal knowledge for someone to have, that a bunch of what he was saying was, well, what do you think about this? I think such and such.
And we don't intend to ask him what he thinks about anything or what he does not have personal knowledge in.
so basically,
Did y'all talk about that?
we have in general terms, but
Okay.
I think we're on the same page.
Okay.
The police questioned Antonio Sumlin about stuff they found in his house and about an alleged conspiracy that he was charged with, Mr. Eppinger and also Mr. Dorsey. As part of that conversation, Investigator Viverito just kind of said, well, what do you think happened with the Donovan Thomas? And, he was in jail at the time. And he
Yeah, okay.
says,
Well, I mean, if
Yeah.
y'all talked about it and y'all are on the same page, that's fine with me.
And Your Honor, just for clarity as well, and Mr. Sharp and Say talked about this with Viverito's folders, we have previously, when we've walked through, what about this witness? What exhibits are they coming in? Any objections, and walk through that, like, there is exhibits that have been in her folder, some since August of when she was going to be testifying, that would come in with her as a witness. We specifically, in terms of recently, not recently, but the discussion with Mr. Sharp and the state has been focused on the phone, primarily the phone, and then the state sent a whittled down wiretap,
Okay,
and then you have the Instagram, Your Honor.
all right.
I don't know. Let me just be clear. There are folders with Investigator Viverito. Part of the challenge in this case, quite frankly, we heard from Detective Hogan. And Detective Hogan, I was asking about the GSR and things like that, and he doesn't know anything about it. Part of the problem is it seems that Investigator Viverito took somewhat of an investigatory role in this at some point, or a co-investigator, but there's no reports by Investigator Viverito. So in discovery, I have just a folder with a bunch of
Things
social
you looked
media
at.
posts
Yeah,
of random people that I'm assuming that it's Investigator Viverito pulled them, but there's no, to my knowledge, no report saying, oh, I pulled this. And I don't know when they were pulled. Some of them in the folder, it says a date in the title of the folder, but then a different date on the post. And there's just a lot of ambiguity, and we just need to go through some of that.
Okay.
And I absolutely object to some of the social media grabs that Investigative Viverito.
Okay, so why don't we just, is the best place to start the reduced wiretap folder Dropbox that was sent this, in the middle of the night, last night?
Yes, Your Honor. And
Early morning this
that was
morning.
my fault. I sent the one at 5:58
Okay.
and the version of that Excel.
Okay, well, anyway, is that the,
Yes, Your Honor.
a place to start?
Yes, Your
That would
Honor.
make sense?
And
Okay,
I think the defendant Stillwell's phone may be a good place to start because we have never
that's
addressed that
fine
the
with
court.
me, but Ms. Percival doesn't see an October 28th or October 30th link, so we're not quite sure where to go to.
Your Honor, it's the link from last night. That same link is the items sent on those dates are identical in that.
For me, folks, again, the state is prosecution. This should have been nailed down a year ago, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. This should have been nailed down. What are we going to get with this particular witness? And now they are working up until this morning with what that person, Miss Viverito, again, not prepared. And this causes trouble for the defense. What are we actually defending our client against? What statements, what evidence? And it seems like not even the prosecution knows. They are chasing down straws all the time.
So that recent link is what I
Okay,
recommend we
so
use.
also the midnight one or the 5 PM one, or does it matter?
They're actually the same link, Your Honor.
Okay.
So you could use either one.
Hey, it's me. Oh, I didn't realize until now. It's
I think
Miss
I just
Weaver.
deleted it.
Miss Weaver is doing the note taking. Hi, Miss Weaver. Hey. One of the few bright spots from Mr. Glanville's rule on the bench.
Okay, so iPhone 12 mini. Should we start there?
All right, here we go. Day 158. Evidentiary hearing.
Okay, and then there are multiple folders within that folder. Do we need to look at each of those? Hang on, sorry. Okay. So should we just start at the top, 9 February conversation?
Yeah, Derek, the state is making crap up as it goes along.
Okay, what have we got here?
I'm sorry, I clicked on the link, the Dropbox link, and the first folder I'm seeing is Garlington IG
Yeah, we're just skipping that one for now and going down to the iPhone mini.
Libby, the state's Dropboxes probably look like a trash bin. I will not disagree with that. Kerfuffle! Hi, Kerfuffle. It's Kerfuffle's day off, and Nick is streaming. Yes, I am. I am a few minutes behind, so I can skip ahead.
Problem with, I don't have a problem with that particular.
Okay. And let's move on to the next one. The next one says S. Stillwell. I mean, it's just the next one down. Doesn't have much of a descriptor. Did I do that wrong? No, yeah. All right. So the 9 February just is that one text conversation. So the next folder, S. Stillwell, has 3 different things in it. Messages, places, web. We just need to open all of them and look through. So messages.
Well, so it appears to me that,
Yes, you may.
it appears to me that the state did some sort of search for terms. I don't know if they're looking for extended clip, I don't know, and so they're talking about extending a rental to.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have any problem with that particular one.
Okay.
I would suggest that probably we should,
Okay, so within that first folder, there seems to be a couple of different conversations. One of them is entitled Tent on Rental, and that's got the word extend, talking about extending the rental, and you don't have objection to that.
correct.
And then we've got another one entitled, I don't know who put these titles on here, but 2828 Waters Drive. Send me an Uber from where, home to 28 Waters Drive issue with that?
I have no problem.
Okay, then the next one is entitled Death of Christian McMiller Darius Ford. And I assume when these come in, they're not going to have these titles on them, but okay, just making sure. Any issue on that?
No.
Okay. And then there's an attachment that I can't tell what is. Just said,
I do have an issue.
what is that? It's all I can see. It looks like a screenshot, 1 by 1.
Yes, Your Honor, it's a screenshot from Instagram.
Okay.
That says 1 by 1. And we believe it's close in time to when Christian was there before it was posted.
Are we supposed to be able to see that? I mean, is who posted it or the date or anything going to be visible?
When we go to the actual phone number, Your Honor, there's a picture viewer.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that picture is, you guys can see the picture, you just screenshot it and clipped it.
Okay.
So the clip is in this consolidated form, but when you go to this text message and this is still a phone,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see the attachment and then you should click it. So it should be the actual picture of the screenshot, not this blurry version.
So who wrote it?
Thanks.
So that's the image that he sent. See where it says image?
Okay, so,
It's there.
okay.
You can keep it if you want.
So you're saying that down below Listed Apple Messages, main, I guess maybe that's some sort of an emoji, but it's 470, ends in 7004, from 3/11/22. Is that what y'all are saying is significant?
Yes.
And that number liked the image that is the 1x1?
Correct, Your Honor.
What number, like?
Okay, I don't know. Y'all are gonna have to explain.
I just want to know who the author of the image is. I'm trying to understand evidentiarily how this gets in.
Me too.
Okay.
Your Honor, I'm pulling up the Cellbrite itself,
Okay.
but the green messages are statement of party opponent, are where he says on the PDF I'm looking at, he's mentioning the death of Christian McMiller and Darius Ford, and then in Cellbrite,
He,
defendant Stillwell.
which is which number?
He is any green text, Your Honor, highlighted is
The
going to be
ones,
him.
it green, they have a green box
Yes, Your
around
Honor.
them?
Those are all statement of party opponents.
Because it says on the right, data source, and that's his number that ends in 8694?
Yes, Your Honor, and this is physically extracted from his physical phone. And so they took it to APD, and in Cellbrite or XRY or Gray Key, every message he sends in this entire phone is
Okay.
going to be in green.
Okay.
And that's from the physical phone itself.
All right, so are we only seeing his messages and it's not like a conversation? Just help me sort of understand what it is we're looking at.
It is a conversation. And so when you, in a couple minutes, I'll pull it up so the court can see how this system shows it, but you can search by messages, by files. And so when you look at messages, it will have in chronological order the entirety of text messages saved on the phone. You also can search by terms or search by communications between parties. And so what we will be seeing when we walk through this is sometimes a variety of those. In terms of this specific excerpt is a text conversation between defendant Stillwell and who he has saved in his phone as main with the emoji.
Okay.
So, Your Honor, if you go just scroll down, for example, to the next page, there's someone named Brett Rossi.
Right.
The person that is on the other end of the conversation is in a gray bubble.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just kind of how all these look. But I don't know. My objection to this is
When this meaning go up above again,
the
right?
one by one. That's not my client's words.
The one by one is posted when? I mean, I see that apparently Mr. Stillwell's phone liked that image on 3/11 at 9:31 a.m. Is that what I'm supposed to take from this?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Do we have, and is he talking when he likes the image to, is that a snake emoji? It's so small, I can't see it.
That is what I believe it is, Your Honor.
Okay, main snake.
I
So
think it's actually a lizard.
main lizard then. We'll just call it main. Is that who posted one by one? Or do we know?
Your Honor, I'm pulling up the actual XRY. If one of them sent like a screenshot from Instagram, which that looks like Instagram where there's a song at the top left, if I'm trying to pull up to see if it was, I believe what happened is the person he's speaking with sent him a screenshot one by one.
Okay.
And he liked it. And so
Okay,
the phone would capture him liking that message, just like you could like a picture someone texts you.
Right, okay.
Uh,
All right, and Mr. Sharp, what's your objection then?
Well, I need to understand the relevance of this.
And when is the McMillan Ford, I may not have those names right, McMiller Ford?
It was on March 11th, the early morning hours of March 11th, 2022. Oh, it's not.
don't we have
Um,
enough?
It was the,
Yeah, so it's not enough with the Instagram, actual Instagram posts. Now it's screenshots of Instagram posts with a thumbs up.
early morning hours of March 11th, 2022, approximately, I think the police responded maybe around 2 or 3 a.m., Your Honor.
Okay. And so I guess this would be a suggestion that the one by one and liking that is a reference to those people's deaths. Is that right? Okay. Is that the theory?
The theory, which will be up for the jury to determine exactly what that meant,
Sure.
would be because of basically picking off the rivals one by one, shooting one by one the people who caused the double homicide death.
Well, but who wrote?
But no one's going to be, that is, the jury can make of that what, but that is.
But that's why y'all are offering it. So to say that these two buddies of ours died and we're going to get whomever killed them one by one?
Because on March 14th, Shamel Drinks has a picture with Kelvin Watts and Jasper Walters, who are publicly and quite aggressively disrespecting the double homicide publicly.
Has that evidence come in yet?
It is going to come in with investigator Viverito. So it has not been before the jury. So
Okay.
I'm not saying this, there is some evidence out there about this quite public disrespect of, there's one picture of a crossed out Mr. McMiller next to his child and says, "You didn't have a father now." So it is, there's no words for that level of disrespect. And so that is what is publicly being put out into Instagram around this time.
Okay.
Of course, we're going to get there today because these are the things that I think really do need to be litigated, but it doesn't apply to this. But there's no evidence that Mr. Stillwell saw any of these posts, to my knowledge.
It's Mr.
Not this one. I'm not talking about this one.
Well, right. Sounds like they don't even get posted until several days later. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe can the state articulate their position on why this is relevant?
So, Your Honor, the state, the text messages, I think we're all in agreement, are relevant in terms of the state has to put forth evidence of the impact of that. The state's theory is this was retaliation for that.
This
Shamel Drink's murder was
okay.
And so
Drinks' murder is retaliation for McMiller and Ford's murders a few days prior.
correct, Your Honor.
Uh-huh.
So the text messages the state believes are highly relevant to show, because you have to put forth evidence, and a private text message is good evidence of someone's state of mind, of how that impacted the people by the state's theory that murdered Shamel Drinks because of that. And so when and then the specific photograph of one by one, that can be up to interpretation, but the state feels that it's relevant that immediately after stating that, I lost my brothers.
But it's not immediately after stating it. It's before stating it, isn't it?
I was pulling
I mean, at 9:31, Mr. Stillwell likes an image that is one by one, which y'all are saying is a song title. Is that right? No, that came.
so you can tell a song is playing because of the top left with Instagram.
Okay, well,
But you can
it is
caption.
so minute on what I'm looking at that I can't see
Yes, Your Honor.
anything other than that there is some image and some words. But you're saying if we look at it
And-
in a real clear version, it's going to show some song playing.
Yes, Your Honor, and I'm,
The song significant?
no, Your Honor, the song's
Okay.
not significant.
Okay, so while a song is playing, Maine snaps a screenshot of it or screen grab or whatever of it, and Maine puts the words one by one on, dot, dot, dot on there, or what?
No, Your Honor, this is a whole other person's Instagram that posts one by one, and they are sending this screenshot between each other.
Okay, so some random human in the universe who is somehow, whomever has access to through Instagram has, while listening to a song, posted one by one, dot, dot, dot. And it doesn't matter who that is or what that means. Maine sends that snap of the screenshot to Mr. Stillwell, who then likes the image. And the state's theory is that by liking an image that says one by one, because it's several hours after the murder of his compatriots, that indicates that he intends to get revenge for the murder. Am I following your theory?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
I do not
So
know
stupid.
that Instagram handle. There is in my opinion, the two most highly likely
Well, if we don't
purposes
know,
of that
we
picture
don't-
is either it could be a rival of someone of YFN posting one by one, and then defendant Stillwell and Maine Slime are sending this photo to each other saying, look what they're publicly saying one by one.
Uh-huh.
And that probably is what it is. I do not know
But
who
we
that
don't know
Instagram
that.
handle is, but I think it's considering that this is sent on March 11th, and they are discussing this double homicide amongst each other, the impact, send this screenshot one by one, and then
Okay.
there's
You're
multiple.
saying they're discussing this homicide amongst each other, but it is over an hour later that Mr. Stillwell says, my brother got killed, right?
Your Honor, I am pulling up the actual XRY to pull up the full file so I can.
Okay.
And from my perspective, we've been in this trial for a long time, and to just throw this post without any context or knowledge of who the author is or anything else, because, I mean, the state just, I thought they were saying at first that this is some scheme going on where Maine Lizard is saying one by one, we need to get them one by one, and
But
Shannon's
apparently that's
liking.
not what they're saying.
Right. Well, there's a pretty big difference between those two things. And I keep going back. We don't know who the author is. And,
The author being the person who posted one by one.
right.
And
And
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I guess in order for us to accept the theory that Maine Lizard and Mr. Stillwell are, I don't know, conversing in some way about the potential for some sort of revenge, it would certainly be helpful for the state to be able to establish that was a rival gang member. Although if a rival gang member posted something like that, why you would like that instead of dislike it, I don't know.
well,
but-
theoretically, you could like the fact that Maine Lizard told you because people have been trying to kill you for years. And those same people are posting one by one. I would appreciate the heads up that of that knowledge. And so that's my point. These are two very vastly different theories. And I just don't know how we can just, from my perspective, just be throwing these things in front of the jury without even the knowledge of who wrote this and the context in which it's being considered.
Your Honor, the state can, if the court permits, admit the statement of party opponent of the text and not show the jury the attachment
So
between
the
these two.
statement by a party opponent is he liked an image?
No, Your Honor, the text beneath that. The state cannot show him liking the one by one.
Okay, so then that would be him saying, my brother got killed, and then him saying, and who is 3188? Because that seems to be a different phone number than Maine Lizard. So is this even the same, how can this even be the same text chain?
So, Your Honor, the green text is what is key to follow here, because when Detective Liam Packer ripped the phone, the SIM card is exchanged like quite frequently in the phone. And so this raw phone the message sent from this,
Right?
there is multiple numbers for whatever reason or purpose, but there's SIM cards switched in this phone. But this phone, this message, the green is from,
Mr. Stillwell?
Yes.
I got it. So this is Mr. Stillwell saying, in an entirely different conversation from the liked image, right?
yes, Your Honor.
My brother got killed.
Correct.
And then a few minutes later to the same person saying, I had to hurry, I couldn't even think straight. Man, I'm effed up right now. I'm gonna just holler at you later. Okay, is there objection to that? To Mr. Stillwell expressing grief at having lost somebody he knows?
No.
Okay.
Although I will just say in the presentation of any of this to the jury, if there are clear conversations like going back between 625-3188, I don't have a problem with displaying them together, but I don't believe factually that if you looked at my client's phone, it would go from the main lizard to the 3188. So I think when we change people we're talking with, we probably need to have different exhibits because it creates an impression that there was this, then this, and this, and I don't think factually that's correct. And I'm not saying the state is doing this.
Yeah, I don't know why these were under the same thing, but
And Your Honor, the state has no, the state agrees with Mr. Sharp that when published to the jury, it will be clear that, whatever context or just that message itself.
okay.
The way the reason they're saved like this is, the data is massive in XRY. And so the main point was to highlight what the state intends to introduce through this phone. Not necessarily, that's why it has the titles at the top of like,
Okay, but at the point in time when you introduce this, it's just going to be the 1039 and then the 1043 comments by Mr. Stillwell to 3188. Is that correct?
yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay. So then the next, I guess, conversation is between,
So Mr. Nichols is main lizard.
okay, but we're not using that one at this point. Do we know who, I mean, not that it never mind, it doesn't matter right now. Okay, moving on. His conversation with Brett Rossi.
Okay.
I would ask the state for the relevance of this.
Have we not established by now that Mr. Stillwell is from the Cleveland Avenue area of the city?
No, Your Honor.
We haven't?
Not Mr. Stillwell, Mr. Stillwell.
That's amazing. Okay. All right, well then, I guess that's relevant.
Is that the point of this?
Yeah, well, frequents that area. We believe he's from Thomasville Heights, but he definitely frequents the Cleveland Avenue work. Maybe he considers himself from Cleveland Avenue, but we have not established Mr. Stillwell himself.
Okay.
Okay, if that's the relevance, I don't have any problem.
All righty, moving on to the next one, which is Mr. Stillwell and Funk.
I know.
Okay, skipping ahead.
To show-
Oh,
What's the point of this one? To show that they hang?
hey, daily quick bites.
Is there, well, I guess I should say, is there an objection?
I just don't understand the relevance. I think it's pretty.
Relevance?
Withdraw that.
All righty, they're not going to use that one. Okay, we've gotten through that folder. Or that
Oh.
subfolder. All right, go back out, and then the next thing is places.
I mean, this only shows me they are throwing, they are not even showing throwing spaghetti on the wall to see if it sticks. They are grasping at straws and then throw straws in the wind and hope that one drops right down. They are anything. And then, Jesus Christ.
And this would be like where they grabbed his location from the phone? Or what is, okay. And so this is going to show that on 316 is 624, he's at Concourse Parkway. Is that where he picks up the
Yes.
rental car? We've already established that. I mean, we saw him there at the rental car agency. So is there an objection?
I just didn't see the relevance. It's cumulative. If
Okay.
that's the purpose of it.
Is that the only purpose?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm gonna sustain the cumulative objection. All righty, and then we've got him at the day before, early in the morning, somewhere on Lucky Street. Is there an objection?
I didn't understand relevance.
Relevance. What's relevance? Okay. All right, let's go back out, and then our next subfolder is web searches.
So this is so useless from the prosecution. They just put things in a folder, send it over. What's the relevance? Judge asks, what's the relevance of this? And there is none. So they will not bring that up over and over again.
And y'all, the Drinks murder is 3:14 at around 9:30 p.m., right?
To 10.
10, okay, somewhere, yes, you're right, okay.
So, I mean, I understand the relevance to this. You know, I'll let the court know that there was plenty of links sent to Mr. Stillwell and other people immediately after that death, inquiring if he's safe because there was news that someone was killed.
And this is all 3 days later anyway, okay.
And it's the same day that this appears to be the day after their home was shot up. So
Their home being
this
a
is,
lot of pronouns here.
sorry, a day after Waters Road was
Uh-huh.
shot up, and then earlier in the morning before he was arrested, Your Honor. So we think that
So the Waters Road,
So they're trying to get in texts and stuff that asks Mr. Stillwell if he's safe after his friends have been murdered and his house has and the house has been shot at. How is that evidence of him doing anything to drinks?
what time?
so Waters Road occurred at approximately 12 a.m. on March 16th.
So midnight going from the 15th to the 16th?
Yes, Your Honor.
So these are about 26 hours later.
Okay, and so these are things that he accessed over a full day later that deal with the fact that
Mr. Drink.
Drinks had been killed.
Yes, Your Honor.
Over 3 days after.
Well,
Drinks.
you're right. And just that he accessed them. We don't know if it was him looking them up or somebody sending him a link and
Correct,
him
Your Honor.
hitting it or whatever.
But the fact that
Okay,
searches
that
for
he,
that particular murders in his phone.
Well, we keep saying search.
that's, yeah. Are you showing that he searched for, like he sat down and typed into Google, Fox 5 Atlanta, Drinks killing?
Or that this website information is in his phone. We believe it's from a search of
He
going.
accessed it. You don't know whether he searched for it or whether somebody sent him a link and said, oh my gosh, look at what just happened.
Right, at some point, it opened up on his phone. So whether he searched it himself or someone sent it, it was accessed on his phone. Yes, Your Honor.
You can access the search I mean, whoever did the phone extraction on that phone should have a report on if he actually searched for it, because it would be saved in the phone and you don't know. Oh God.
I'm going to object to under 403. And the reason is.
There's a big difference between, oh, I'm going to go look at this information under the state's theory that I'm the one that committed it. Let me find out what is being published about it versus somebody sends me a link. Oh my gosh. And who knows whether these people even know each other, but assuming they did, so-and-so got killed. Oh, wow. Let me see.
You're right, but I think there is some relevance that there are multiple links to the same shooting, especially after.
So
And what else is going to come into evidence, Your Honor, there are going to be other posts. I believe it's Mr. Stillwell's post after Mr. McMillan, Mr. Ford is murdered, that says we're not going to be the only ones crying tonight. So the fact that after the murder of Mr. Drinks, that there are any searches or any information sent to him about the murder of Mr. Drinks is extremely relevant, given that
3 days later,
But
if
this
it was
is-
like 2 hours later, it might be extremely relevant.
But
But
this
3
is
days
all-
later, it might be relevant because relevance is a low standard. But the argument on the other side is it's overly prejudicial.
but it's also after their home was shot up and after we believe that when police went to the house, when police responded to that location, that very soon after police responded, all of the stuff in that home was gone by the time police did a search warrant on that house on March 17th. So the fact that you are group searching at 2:30 in the morning, or this information is being sent to you at 2:30 in the morning is relevant. This is still within only
2:30 in the morning, 3 days after Drinks is killed, and over a day after the Waters Road home is shot up,
And I
right?
think that's still information that is relevant and not substantially prejudicial, overly prejudicial, because of what is happening between these two gangs for the days leading up.
Between these two gangs, except that you have yet to establish that Mr. Drinks was in a rival gang. You're saying you're going to be able to do that?
We're going to be able to show that he was at least associating with individuals. The individual Barter, who he was with the day that he was murdered, is a member of YFN. We have other pictures that are going to come out very soon, that will come out through investigative Viverito, we believe, that show that after this murder, they did not know who he was initially on day one. However, very soon they saw other YFN members reposting him saying, "Rest in peace." That is when they learned of his association with YFN. And again, specifically, the individual who is known as Barter is also Christian Johnson. That is the person who was in the car with him. So the state will establish that there was an association, at least with a number of YFN members, given what was posted.
All right,
in the
and
hours
you're
afterwards.
not necessarily going to be able, I don't even hear you saying you're going to be able to establish that Mr. Stillwell knew that Mr. Drinks was an associate of YFN. They're just, and it's an inference to be made. Is that right?
It is an inference
Okay.
because there's a picture that was posted on at least March 12th in which Mr. Shell Keller, or Kelvin Watts, reposted a picture with Mr. Drinks, an individual by the name of Jasper Walters, who is a known YFN member, and Shell Kell, that has two shell emojis and two black zipper emojis. And we believe those emojis subliminally.
You're using the word wrong again, but okay. Like a hidden message.
A hidden
which is not the same
message.
thing as subliminal, but okay.
Okay. So that we believe that those two messages were a message that they may have been the ones responsible for the death of McMiller and Ford. So those Instagram posts, which are relevant, we believe will come in. So to establish that it is relevant that he would be even concerned about this,
Okay.
or that his
Accessing
phone-
a news article does not in any way indicate you are concerned about
not
anything. You have accessed a news article.
So when you access the news article and it appears multiple times.
Okay, and you do not know whether he searched it or whether somebody sent him the link. Is that right?
That is true, Your Honor.
Okay.
But the fact that people are sending the link of that particular murder, and we have calls on the wiretap in which they talk about, I think there's a call with Demekion Garlington in which people ask, why did they shoot up the house? And Demekion Garlington says, because their homeboy got killed in Mechanicsville last night. This is what,
And in that is that the day after Drinks is killed?
this is a few days later after Drinks is killed.
No, when Garlington says, because homeboy got killed last night.
Oh, excuse me, yes, that one, but there's some other ones as well. So I think that this is relevant and not substantially prejudicial given the timeline of what has occurred between really March.
The yet to be established timeline. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor, but that's because we're still putting.
I know you're still putting evidence up. I know.
And my 403 objection isn't just prejudice, it's also confusion to the jury because, and I think this is kind of proving my point or my argument in some ways, because what I'm trying to avoid is we are on a 2-yard line of getting to the end of this case. And it seems to me that there is a potential that the state is just going to try to throw a bunch of stuff out there.
I think that's what the state's been doing this whole trial.
Well, I think I'm concerned about this with Viverito. Like, for instance, when they just talked about the post by Shell.
Oh, shade, Miss Judge Whitaker. Shade, damn. Wow. Oh, wow. Oh, that was a burn. Sebastian, thank you for being a member for 11 months. Asks, how much does the state get paid? They seem to have a personal stake in this trial with how they are acting. Well, I believe the starting pay for an assistant district attorney is around $70,000 a year. Ms. Love is a chief assistant district attorney and makes $160,000 a year. So on average, the 6 assistant district attorneys that are currently working the YSL trial is roughly 100,000 a year, not counting the assistants working in the background. And this is what they bring up. Wow, that shade. No wonder she is pushing the prosecution to offer good plea deals, because imagine if this was a bench trial. Oh, wow. Oh, we need to hear that again.
I know.
And my 403 objection isn't just prejudice, it's also confusion to the jury, because, and I think this is kind of proving my point or my argument in some ways, because what I'm trying to avoid is we are on a 2-yard line of getting to the end of this case. And it seems to me that there is a potential that the state is just going to try to throw a bunch of stuff out there.
I think that's what the state's been doing this whole trial.
Well, I think
Jesus Christ, the shade. Yeah, and I agree with her. The prosecution, from day one, from the day after they arrested these 28 defendants, they have been throwing stuff against the wall and hope that anything sticks, including in this trial. Lenita Cooper, is that Christina Weaver? Yes, it is Christina Weaver who is the court clerk this day. Hey.
I'm concerned about this with Viverito. Like, for instance, when they just talked about the post by Shell Cal, there is no evidence that I know of that Shannon has ever seen that post. And with this, we have no idea as we sit here, and this is why I'm concerned about these Viverito files where it's just kind of a bunch of things thrown in there. We have no idea if it was a link sent, if it was a search. We have no idea of any of that.
Right,
And the jury will have no idea.
And you will have to point that out to them.
Why?
So it's relevant, again, because of the low threshold for relevance. And it is, I mean, in terms of confusion, I don't think that they're going to be able to establish more than that this was accessed.
These were accessed, these were searched for by the defendant. There's no messages where he received them. I've gone through the phone extracting. He went on to Safari and we either went to Fox 5 and clicked on the Windsor, whatever the title is, Windsor Homicide in Atlanta, or he typed in Windsor Homicide.
When you go, the Safari app on iPhone, you get suggestions, local news of interest. And probably since Mr. Stilwell lived in that area, the news of that last couple of days was probably that homicide. Oh, look at that. Click.
Atlanta, and that's what was accessed with the Fox 5.
All right, and this is coming in through,
His phone number.
I know, which witness is going to be explaining, here's how we get these things and here's what we can tell from them.
It'll be a combination of Kevin Landpacker and Marissa Viverito.
Well, let's hope it's mainly Leon Packer, who
But
seems to actually have expertise in cell phone search dump things. I don't know about Viverito's ability to say any of this.
And this may change after this conversation. My understanding going into today that the state's plan was just to admit the dump through Leon Packer and then have Viverito explain everything. And that's my concern.
Viverito, and does she have the expertise to be able to explain any of this?
So, Your Honor, Viverito has probably gone through 500 phones. She is in the gang unit, has actively phone dumps and Cellbrite. When I personally am taking in preps, Detective Leanpacker, who's currently with the FBI.
Okay, and I know that he has expertise in it because he's testified about it in other of my own cases.
Correct, Your Honor. So what the state intends to do with Detective Leanpacker he was asked, Detective Bureau goes to Leanpacker, as she's done hundreds of times, can you help me extract his phone? I have
Right.
a search warrant for it. Yes.
Okay.
Boom. Leanpacker will describe for the jury how XRY works, gray key works, all of that, what it means, what does the data come like when you get a
Okay.
message. He's not going to be publishing stuff because he never reviewed the contents, but he was going to discuss and talk about how the data is kept. I may use like I'm not intending on using what we're litigating now with Detective
Right.
Leanpacker because he didn't personally go through this stuff. I may show like the central XRY, home screen that shows messages in Safari, but he's obviously.
All right. Well, I don't think messages, I think most people grasp that messages can be extracted from phones, but something like this that's showing web access. And we are all saying, well, okay, can you tell from this whether it was something that was sent or whether it was a search that he generated? Can anybody answer that question?
Yes, Your Honor. What we are showing, defendant Stillwell, access, search that. That is what we're showing.
Accessed it and searched it are not necessarily the same thing. I can access a link that you send me, or I can search for the same thing myself and find that same link. Is there any way to determine from this?
It's a search. You see where it says, there's one, for example, at 3:17, 2:33:31 a.m. where it says web address is fox5atlanta.com/search. Where it says search there, that means he has searched for that web address.
Where does it say search? The one that said, sorry, it's about 1, 2, 5 or 6 down.
Or you could even go to the second one down where it says it's
Okay.
similar, where it says fox5atlanta.com. You see where it says search? That means he searched for the specific.
Okay, I don't see that. I guess it's cut off. The /SE
Yes.
is going to ultimately say search.
Yes.
And is some witness going to be able to explain when you see /search, that means that it was a search?
Detective Leanpacker will be able to adequately explain that to a
Okay.
level that few people can.
Okay, all right then. So we do know that some of these were searches.
That's correct.
Well, and Your Honor, while we're saying some of these, I'm looking at,
I mean, I don't think we can see everything because it doesn't show the entirety of it. Are we going to be able to see the entirety of it?
Yes, Your Honor. If there's one I can share.
So like another one down there's like that one that has the red arrow, the one below that. You can't, both of those, you can't even see the end of, and I'm sorry, I don't know what the term is, but whatever that long string of slashes and dots and things are, you can't even see the end of it to see whether it says search. And then the next one down, you can't either. It's fox5atlanta.com/in. So do we know what those are?
Your Honor, we're double checking, but it's my understanding that this section came from the portion of his phone that says searches. So when you look at XRY, it has different categories. When you open up the searches categories, this is what.
All right, well, if there is a witness who is able to explain that, and then somebody can ask, does this include things that are sent to you? And he can say yes or no. I'm going to overrule the objection.
my other concern, Your Honor, is the presentation. I'm not an expert in these phones, but I'm just common sense wise, I'm looking at this. If you look at the time accessed, the earliest time that I see is 2:31:56 a.m. It appears page title Fox 5. Okay, so someone goes to Fox 5 at 2:31 a.m. They're there at 2:33 a.m. Okay, that's not a search of anything, that's just being on Fox 5 website. And then based on what Mr. Abadi's saying, which I'm not saying is incorrect or correct, but it says 2:33:31 a.m. and that's the search. And then it's just Fox 5 again. So while we have this big list that's creating the impression that there's a bunch of searches, it appears that all this really amounts to is one time going on Fox 5 and then doing one search.
I don't know whether it does or not. I guess Leanpacker will be able to tell us that.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what both of these pages is, this one thing, essentially this one topic. Okay. And he'll be able to tell us, is this 8 or 12 different searches, or is this just, it refreshes and you're still on the page or something like that? Okay. All right, so. Is he going, I know he didn't look at it. You're saying he just did the dump, sorted it all out and gave it to Viverito, right? But Viverito is not going to be able to tell us the answer to any of those questions, is she?
Your Honor, do very much believe that she is very much equipped with her training experience to discuss, because she reviews these almost daily. I'm not saying
That doesn't mean she
but
knows what they mean.
but she's had training on it, and defense can voir dire across. We're not putting her up as a cell phone extraction expert. We have Detective Leonpacher, who was going to describe that. But
Right, but
and
how about just have him look at that?
yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and
Yes,
then
Your Honor.
he can explain it to us.
Yes, Your
'Cause
Honor.
I don't know that, I mean, I haven't heard anything that would make Vivarito able to answer those questions. So as long as I mean, it's not much for him to look at. It's less than 2 pages.
Yes,
Have
Your
him
Honor.
look at that, and then he can explain it.
Yes, Your Honor.
All
And
right. Okay, and maybe she can say, oh, here's why it was significant in my estimation, because she's the investigator. But, all right, let's move on to the next topic.
So, Your Honor, the next one is a saved video.
Okay,
And it's a man, I do not know who it is, maybe the state knows who it is.
this is the 12 March one.
Yes, he seems to, yes, Your Honor, and he seems to be playing like DJ at home from his home and broadcasting on Instagram, and once in a while he'll rap along with the lyrics. And I will tell you that I'm fully aware that he's playing songs. Well, he mentions Haiti Gang, If Gang in the third song. He does say F-U-C-K, YSL in between songs. I don't know who he is. He apparently doesn't like YSL. Don't know why that's relevant.
And this is something, where did this come from?
so, Your Honor, this was saved in defendant Stillwell's phone.
Okay,
And when the crime scene photographs get introduced of the March 11th double murder of Christian McMiller and Darius Ford, the vehicle that they were driving, he pulls up that video because it hit the news. And the person who is actively saying F-U-C-K-Y-S-L puts the bullet-ridden car of Mr. McMiller and Mr. Ford on his public Instagram and is publicly saying,
okay, that's a part of this video, which for me has not opened.
yes, Your Honor.
Okay,
And so the state feels that that level of blatant disrespect is highly relevant in the state's gang retaliation murder. I can't think of something more heartless than posting a bullet-ridden car after someone has been murdered on a highway and publicly, I mean, that is,
okay. So this video, in addition to him playing DJ, has him posting on the video the car that McMiller and Ford were killed in.
yes, Your Honor.
It's a blurry video. It's about, it's a very
And
blurry video.
For whatever reason, Mr. Stillwell has that video saved in his phone.
Right, and we
Okay.
don't know who this man is.
What's your objection?
Relevance 403. We don't know who this man is at all, unless the state knows. And he's just disparaging YSL, and it's in my client's phone.
All right, that's relevant and not overly prejudicial. Now, given that I have yet to be able to open the video, how long is the video?
He goes through 3 songs. It's about 8 minutes, I would say.
And Your Honor, I will pull it up. I believe that that's accurate. The state does not intend to play. He's playing music that the state's going to play, and I can get those time hacks. And to Mr. Sharp, it's going to be when he's publishing the bullet-ridden car
Okay.
and when he's saying
Bad things about
correct,
YSL.
correct.
Okay. All right, the next thing says location video. What is this?
I think that's just the location of in Mr. Stillwell's phone that the video is.
Okay. Is that just showing this video was found in his phone? All right.
Were we, nuts and bolts of presenting this evidence, were you guys seeking to admit this actual photo itself? I assumed you weren't, but if you are, I guess we just got to make sure there's nothing else on the photo.
No, I don't think it said to introduce the photo, but to have a reference of the date and time that the video was saved to the phone.
Oh,
All right. Okay. All right, moving on to the next subfolder. That would be the first of several iPhone mini subfolders. There's a PDF within that. So this is more text from within the phone, is that right?
yes.
Okay, is there objection to any of those?
I just want to make sure I'm on the same one. as-
This one says 10/28/24, I'm not sure why, but,
I think that was the date that they created this. This one, I believe, I believe the state believes this is, what would we use that for our conversation? What would we-
Yes.
Um, I don't have any objection to this conversation. Can I just ask the state one thing? When these are compiled, this is the entire conversation over a certain time frame between the two individuals?
That's correct.
Okay, so nothing's been redacted or deleted or anything like that?
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have a,
All right, with any of it, it's several pages long.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Then we will move on to the next iPhone mini subfolder. So this is a different text.
Maria, so, because George Whitaker has said this since she took the bench. Why hasn't this been litigated until now? And when she said earlier, the threshold is so low to get things admitted in the state of Georgia, he basically has no choice as long as the prosecution can give the vaguest of nexuses, then she has to allow them to present it to the jury, and then it's up to Mr. Shard on cross-examination to tell the jury how much garbage it is. But it all comes down to Georgia rules of admitting evidence.
Jane,
Yes, Your Honor, this is.
is there objection to this one?
what was the relevance?
So there's a relevance objection. Do we know who he's talking to?
We'll withdraw using this one, but the point of it was to show that around the time, Mr. Still was using this, phone.
Okay, well, they're withdrawing that one. All right, so then we're in the third iPhone mini folder. So this is Shannon texting Mr. Steele.
No, we're not gonna use that one.
Okay, withdrawing that one.
Oh yeah, you're withdrawing that one.
So the fourth folder has a file and a PDF and an export. What should we look at first?
And Judge, I'll withdraw this one too.
All right.
Establish there's a shooting on the expressway.
Okay. So
I'm sorry,
they're withdrawing it.
is this the one with 224-391-9924?
Hey, Jonsi. Hey.
Yes.
Okay, so we are going to, what is the fifth of the Stillwell iPhone mini folders? And that one contains a chat with Bottom Boy for Life. And I guess you read up from the bottom?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So this text chain starts in the afternoon of March 11th of 2022. On the 12th, they're booking sessions, presumably in a studio. And then Mr. Stillwell asked him to bring some bullets, which I assume is whale.
Yeah. One Nation says, you have Stillwell's phone, but not drinks. Yeah. I mean, imagine how much could be cleared up about Mr. Drink's murder if they actually bothered to download his phone. I assume they still have his phone, but they choose to not, still, to this day, they choose to not do anything with it.
Want this. And then they're talking sessions again on the 14th. Talking about dropping songs and videos, and then that's it, right? Oh, in the very first page is like a summary of the things that are significant, or a sampling of the chat, or what is that? Because that's where it's got the,
So I knew Mr. Sharp would want the entire conversation, so I obviously printed or was able to get the entire conversation, but the very first page is what's relevant, that's why I highlighted.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but that isn't all of that you're going to show. You're going to show the whole conversation, or what's your intent?
I intend to show the first page,
Okay.
show that we can admit it with the full conversation, but it's in order, that first page at the
All
bottom.
right. I think is there an objection?
Well, there is. I think that.
What's the objection?
Unless there's something prejudicial, I think we need to have the entire conversation.
Okay, I would sustain that. So the full conversation can come in the highlight sheet is confusing, misleading.
I did not believe that the state was planning on introducing that.
So it's a good thing I asked,
Yes, I appreciate it.
because it was confusing me. So let's just, for the rule of completeness, put the whole conversation in.
Well, there's some where the whole conversation is gonna be 800.
Well, maybe there won't be an objection to those. We'll see as we go along. All right. So no objection is.
So the excuse from the prosecution is, oh, the whole conversation is this and that many pages long. Well, rule of completeness. If you don't want all of it in, don't have any of it in.
As long as that,
I'm going to object for the record to the 3/12/22 statement. Bring me some FM bullets, like 15.
and
And the reason I'm saying that is because this is leading up to the Drinks murder. Mr. Drinks was not, the ballistics do not come back to an FN gun. There's no link to the Drinks murder.
well, then that's good for you.
That
But
is true.
the fact that he's asking for bullets is relevant on the state side. Okay. So overruling that objection.
Yeah, I kind of agree with the judge's decision here. Yeah, let them talk about him ordering bullets, and you can bring up the fact that the ballistic shows it has nothing to do with the gun in Mr. Stillwell's possession, and wrecking that their theory again.
And moving to our next folder down.
As One Nation, Hilton lied about ending this case soon with what they're trying to introduce. Yeah, what they're attempting to introduce here would put both the cell phone expert and Miss Viverito on the stand for days, many days, many days, up to a week, Yeah. Again, they're just throwing straws in the wind, hoping it will land and form letters. They know the case is garbage. I don't know why they keep prolonging it. Give these guys offers of time served and probation and get on with it. Or face the defense case in chief. Because I would imagine the defense case in chief will be a slaughter of the prosecution. Verbal slaughter. Especially with that video of the supposed shooting of Mr. Drinks, which, in my opinion,
Do we know?
shows clearly it was the third car who did the shooting, not the cars they claim Mr. Stilwell was in, the Audi and the Ford Fusion.
He's talking to here, or what that attachment is.
So I'll withdraw this one. This was also about the highway.
All right, withdrawn.
Are we, we're talking about the one with D?
Mhm.
All right, so we're now at the last of the iPhone mini subfolders within this subfolder. Mhm.
I got confused. I'm sorry. D is
Elia, living my best life. Thank you for your $2. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, folks. Happy Friday. And it's Friday morning in the great state of Georgia. And we are here listening at the prosecution, throwing sticks in the wind. And yeah. Thank you for your support, Elia. And should I have done a recap of this instead? Maybe, but I mean, it's Friday. We can survive this. And remember, tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Friday panel show. And we will see what panel I have today.
Mickey on Darlington. That's why I apologize. That's why this entire text chain is relevant.
All right, so we need to go back up then, back
Sorry.
to that one. Okay. So the second to the bottom of the folders. This is a conversation with Mr. Garlington,
Yes, Judge.
and it starts on March 7th.
So in the beginning of the conversation, some context, there's a lot going on in Shan's phone. There's a few things, and they're easily confused. Miss Alexander, who is on the state's witness list, who's the owner of a gun that the state is alleging Mr. Stilwell was in possession with on the 17th when he was arrested. That's his girlfriend at the time.
That's the one he goes and gets the car with.
Yes. So there's a lot going on. Miss Alexander made an allegation about a fight between her and Mr. Stilwell. Okay, so there's talk about police reports involving that.
Okay.
Simultaneously, Miss Alexander, there's actually a video of it. It was complete self-defense, but she was walking into an apartment complex and two people with masks and guns out ran up on her. Miss Alexander pulled out the FN gun, which is her gun, and started shooting multiple times. And this is on video, and she was never charged.
Okay.
But there's a lot of concern about, Miss Alexander is the one that's initially asking about renting cars and all that, because there's concern that the robbers are coming after Miss Alexander because she was so bold to shoot at them when they had guns out and were robbing her. So there's a lot of police talk. I'm going to object to, for instance, the beginning of this,
Yeah.
which if we're going backwards, it's 19 going to 18 because it's Mr. Stillwell in a very inartful ways expressing his frustration with Ms. Alexander for calling the police on him and putting his jeopardy at risk. So I'm trying to give the context and the
Okay.
background of some of these things.
All right, so go into the bottom, page 19, and then up onto page 18, and how these are all conversations on March 7th. Is there any relevance to any of the conversation on March 7th?
So I guess this is the frustrating part. I provided all of it because that's what was requested.
Okay,
But obviously, we don't care what happened.
all right, so where do y'all want to start with what you would be interested in presenting?
So. So, page 6 of 19.
6, okay.
Folks, it's 4:30 p.m. where I am. Would you guys mind if I go grab a beer? I think I'm going to go grab myself a beer. Yes, I know it is, what is it, 10:30 a.m. where you are, but it's 4:30 where I am. Okay, no objections.
Thank you. And I appreciate, and I'm sure Mr. Shard appreciates you giving the full conversation so that he can sort it out. All right, going to page 6. At this point, we're on March 12th in the evening. Where y'all fixing to go? And then Meat got killed, question mark? I don't know. People are talking about it on Twitter. Mr. Shannon says, what happened? And this is Garlington? I don't know.
Right, and I don't believe,
That doesn't seem relevant because they didn't move on from that.
and I
might get me a session.
don't believe meat has anything to do with this case.
What's the state's position on that? Nobody seems to know anything about it. This is just like, oh my gosh, I heard something.
Okay.
All right, so moving up to page 5. Is there anything on there? Okay, so page 4. Be ready, bro. Been ready. Share your location. And then he says, I'll be there in 3 minutes. Turn it on your street outside.
This is the day of the murder, Your Honor.
Okay.
And Demekion Garlington is believed to be in the car with defendant Stillwell when they shoot and kill Shamel Drinks.
All right, so this is just showing that he possibly is still in the car 6 hours later, 5 hours later.
No, this is before.
Correct, Your Honor.
I'm sorry. Right, no. This conversation is before, and it is being offered to show that at some point in time, they appear in the afternoon to have been riding around together, and so 5 hours later, Garlington might still have been in the car with him. Do we already know that from the video?
No, Your Honor. We have phone records that places
Okay.
Mr. Garlington at the gas station around the time of the murder. And we're also at the time, Your Honor, we are on a wiretap with Mr. Garlington that also placed him in the location, but also some of those calls, Your Honor, that the court has listened to with the wiretap calls are from the day of the murder. One of the calls that I think the court has excluded was the call in which Mr. Garlington, I don't remember the call that Mr. Garlington is on the phone with Mr. Boyer, and Mr. Boyer says, tell Shannon I'm around, or I'm hurrying up. That is the call that we believe establishes that both Mr. Garlington and Mr. Stillwell are together at the time of the murder.
Okay. All right. So this one that shows they were together.
Just that they haven't together all that day,
Well, it
March 14th. We do think that establishes some relevance because we believe that Mr. Garlington goes to the tent place with Mr. Stillwell. We believe that we have information of that from the wiretap as well, Your Honor, but that's not coming in. That's not coming in. We also have Mr. Stillwell's location data to show that they went to go get the car tinted. And so we believe the fact that Mr. Garlington is with him most of the day on the 14th is.
It does not show that he is with him most of the day on the 14th. It shows that at just before 5 p.m. on the 14th, he seems to pick him up.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right.
5 p.m. We believe that the information on the tent is after that location. So around 5 p.m., at least from 5 until 10 o'clock p.m., we believe they're together.
Okay. And so is there any objection to that?
I'm going to concede the relevance to that. I do have a question as we go working through this. In this chat, there's these WCFs and MP3s. And this one on page 4, there's WCF. Do we know anything about what that is or means?
I think it's VCF, but
Oh, yeah,
yes,
VCF.
that's.
I'm sorry, what is
mhm.
it, WCF? VCF.
I mean, I suspect it's him sharing his location, since right before that it says share your location, but
Correct. If you're in the phone number and you click on it, it'll share his location. This is the easiest way to share it with everyone.
That's fine.
We go through the phone number.
that's fine. Okay, so these, I guess, pages 4 and 3
Yes, Your Honor.
will come, 3 up to number 5 will come in, right? And we don't know what the MP3, that's just some song they're listening to or something, we don't know.
That's right, it's a song.
Okay, so. Okay, and then the next thing is midnight-ish, the next morning. Trying to hit this girl, his sister, yeah, you good?
I believe that would be conversations of what's going on at the studio. I'm
So
fine with that.
presumably, right, by 12/17, they are not together, presumably, which is fine. But, okay, so pages 3 and 4 will be coming in from this one. All right, so moving down to the last of the folders within this little group. Do we know who he's talking to in this one? Neck. And where does the relevant part start?
I'm not sharing any attorney-client privileged material. I will say from the context of the chat, it appears that it's another young lady.
It is a ship full of, for you who wonder what I'm drinking, it is this, a ship full of IPA from Brutal Brewing. It is a really nice beer. It is a really, really nice beer. And so yeah, I'm not sponsored. Now, for transparency, this particular one is the non-alcoholic one. So just so you know.
He's having some sort of sexual relation.
Is.
A paramour.
So is there any relevance on this? What is this being offered for?
No, I think the objection would be cumulative.
I don't know.
I don't know if it's, I don't,
But if you go down, if you were to look at the whole PBS,
Uh-huh.
talking about the expressway shooting, how Big Chris got killed. So I pulled everything that related to relevant things as I was going through the phone. But I would assume the objection is going to be cumulative because we're talking about Big Dead Bra and is it Christian Spot, which would have been one of the people who was shot. So and it's Christian shot. So they're talking about Forward and McMiller getting shot on the expressway. So I can withdraw this sheet for this change because I assume the objection would be cumulative.
if that was the purpose of it, to show his basically his knowledge of the Christian McMillan.
Yes.
Okay. I think it is cumulative, but and I don't think anyone's going to deny that he had knowledge of that.
You don't think anybody's gonna what?
I don't think anyone, meaning me, is going to deny that he had knowledge of Christian McMillan. There is for that.
Okay, so, I mean, so are you objecting or
I
not?
think it's cumulative.
And are objecting on that basis? Okay. And does the state want to insist on this or, okay, the state will withdraw this. All right. So I think then we go back out to the beginning of this link, Dropbox link, and we'll move on to the folder that says iPhone 13. And within that folder, there are 5 subfolders. Shall we just start with audio files at the top?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
May I make a suggestion?
Uh-huh.
Maybe I believe that there's going to be three more chats.
Okay.
Maybe just go through.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, so down to the the first of the Shannon Stillwell iPhone 13 subfolders. Do we know who he's talking to here?
The first is Taisha, Your Honor?
Yeah.
Yes, Your Honor. At the time, that was Mr. Stillwell's girlfriend.
Miss Alexander.
Yes.
Okay.
Brooklyn asked, Nick, do you feel that since Young Thug pleaded, Max is working harder since the case started and State has an edge? I don't think State has an edge. But I do believe that Max is taking more of a responsibility since his client are facing the more severe charges. Since, if you remember from my Friday panel show where Doug and Max were, they alluded to they no longer have access to the team behind Mr. Steele. Because that team, because since they more or less pinned everything on Mr. Williams as the leader, they had to go through all of it. So they did have some access to the material they produced. That is no longer on the table. So yes, now Mr. Short and his team are a larger workload. But I don't think that gives the state an edge in that way, in that capacity. Mainly because the state is crap.
Any objection? And I guess the relevant part and starts on what page? 28?
Yeah.
All right, so, and I guess we'll see whether there's an objection to, or rule of completeness objection on this one or not, because it looks like if we look at the kind of summary sheet, it's that first page where she's saying whatever she's saying and he's saying whatever he's saying back. Mr. Shard, is there an objection to that? And do you want the entire 28 pages in, or do you just want there to be some sort of an indication through whomever this comes in with? There was other chit chat, but here's the relevant part of it and we condensed it.
I would like the context and I believe the state has done this, but to the extent that that hasn't been done, there is, and I get it. There's talk about the rental, extending the rental, all of these things. I don't have a problem with that. My concern, and I've articulated to the state, and I think they've addressed it, is that there was a lot of sex talk and things of that nature, and any references to the unrelated case of Miss Alexander making accusations against Mr. Stillwell in Colorado, which was, Miss Alexander was trying to straighten things up with what really happened with the investigators to withdraw that warrant at that time. And so that's in the conversations, but.
Is that within the first 28 pages?
It appears to me that the state has redacted it.
Okay. Okay, so the state will publish this. Well, I guess we'll seek the admission of the first 28 pages.
Yes, sir.
And is there an objection to that? Assuming that the two items you just mentioned have been redacted out.
There is, yes.
Okay.
On page 8.
Before they go into that, I discovered I own my last 2 beers. So I will go until noon with this. Then I need to, thanks to this being non-alcoholic, I need to go down to the store and buy me some new things. And then I will be back around 2 p.m. I can confidently say I'm back, and then we will just resume where we end off. Okay, folks? So another hour, 15 minutes, then I'm sending you over to Kat, and if she's still going at that time, and then I will resume at 2 p.m. Eastern time.
I almost forgot, just on page 8, there's some drug talk on the bottom. I would object to that.
So not the nachos, right?
No, not, the nachos are good.
I'm on the wrong page. Okay, sorry, on the wrong page.
Added the address.
Oh, okay. I was reading things in the worst way possible.
You're not a prosecutor, Mr. Sharp.
Don't say that.
That's me, address.
Well, he's reading it like a cautious criminal defense attorney. Okay, so no objection to this 28 pages. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Okay. Then we'll look at the next folder. Who's he talking with this time? Do we know?
I believe it's another female.
It's a paramour.
Okay, and
The important part about it,
is that he deleted his Instagram?
correct,
Okay.
the day after, or
Well, may I just have a,
Mm-hmm.
right, my understanding, based on the conversation with Miss Alexander, is that can I come back to that? I honestly didn't realize that that was the state's point of this one. And I think I'd like to talk to the state about it.
Okay, we'll come back to that one. So moving on to the third file.
I believe, and I don't know how the mechanics of the phone work, but I believe that this is a duplicate of the DM conversation that was in the other phone
that's correct,
that I think the state withdrew. Is that correct?
that's correct.
So are y'all withdrawing this one also?
Yes, John.
Okay. So where to next?
There's, the iPhone notes is very quick.
Okay. What is this showing? And is there any objection?
My understanding is that the facts, as they come out, will reveal that Mr. Stillwell was in the studio. This is a lyric that was put in like the notes section of his phone, like I can remember something or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And I believe the facts will show that he was in the studio at that time. So I'm going to object relevance in 403 and give
Your Honor, Mr. Shard is correct in terms of the state does believe he's at the studio. The state included this because this is March 15th at 12:52 a.m. So the murder we believe was March 14th at around 10 o'clock, 10:02 p.m. And so a couple hours later, while at the studio, this is just a note that, just like what Mr. Shard said, he typed, like you can make an Apple note to yourself to save. And the second line says, poor little ops, which the state believes is opposition gang members, look how they're just dropping. So The state believes, and the jury confer what they want, that this is relevant because roughly
Mhm.
almost a little shy of 3 hours later, he's in a studio making music and he's writing a line that the state believes is about 3 hours after a murder of a opposition member.
And the line is, poor little ops look like they dropped him.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I don't see that anywhere on there, but I assume.
It's on the right side, Your Honor, under details, where
Oh, there it is.
And-
Okay.
this specific one, it's a screenshot from the XRY system. So the left is all the messages, and if you
Okay.
click one, it opens it on the right.
Thank you.
Yes,
All right,
Your Honor.
what's the objection?
Relevance in 403.
All right, overruled.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
Logistically, when the state introduces this, now that it's been ruled admissible, like, are we gonna show this whole sheet with all this other stuff? Are we just gonna,
No, we will just show that note, Mr. Chard.
okay, and then someone will be able to explain where it came from in his phone and all the rest?
Correct.
And that it's while he's in the studio.
Well, him being in the studio part would come from the person discussing the cell phone attraction won't be able to say, where well, there's other evidence about his location because it's a little unique because you have an ankle monitor, you have cell phone records, and you have
Okay.
the wiretap. But yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Stilwell was wearing an ankle monitor at the time. So what's this with him in the car? If he has an ankle monitor, they know where he is, or roughly where he is. Oh boy.
Which sometimes
Okay, so that takes us to the audio files, I guess. Yes, let's take a quick restroom break. You're welcome.
And through the magic of recap, well, not recap, but since I talk so much, we are a few minutes behind. So now we are up to live. Yay. All right. Let's see what you all have been discussing. Dun, dun, dun. That FN was probably stolen from a homeowner and then sold for $100. There's no evidence of that, at least not in this trial. This Bakis is the star on this show. Yes. Well, here's the thing especially with this beer, it's non-alcoholic, I know, but it's really nice. It tastes really nice. I mean, 20 years ago, the non-alcoholic beers, nah. But it seems like the breweries have actually learned how to make them taste decent. And this one, I must say, is actually good. Let's see here. Gwendolyn, when the state is done with their case in chief, do both of the defendants have to put up a motion for a directed verdict, or will they automatically be merged, the Harvey rule? I would assume it's a Harvey rule thing. Now, they do have some charges that are different, that they might have to, because since directed verdict motion is not in front of the jury, then whoever starts names there, and then the other attorney will add on their specific ones. So that is my answer to that. And the state handing the judge evidence that's too small for the judge to even see and make sense of should automatically not be allowed in. Yeah, I don't know why they are doing that. Why have small print letters? That is so disrespectful. Dun, dun, dun. Jeff Brown, wouldn't Drink's phone be exculpatory to Shard? Maybe he should have subpoenaed it. We don't know if Mr. Shard, what Mr. Shard have or have not. So, or if there might be some stuff, it might be that Mr. Shard believes just pointing it out, that why didn't you even search his phone, and showing the jury, look at these people, they bad investigators. It's up to, I trust Mr. Shard's I trust Mr. Shard that he puts forward the best case in favor of his client once it's his turn. Dun, dun, dun. LB Rhodes app is messing up his words. Okay. I'm so sorry. Nick skis down the mountainside to town where the bears live. I live in the south of Sweden. It's very flat here. Very, very flat. There are some rolling hills, but very flat. But up north, where I grew up, we have wolves and bears and farms and mountains and streams. Yeah, and snow. Dun, dun, dun. They are still not back. Daily quick bite. They will keep going in the not unreasonable hope that the last defendants will cave and agree to a stupid plea. That might be their hope from the prosecution. I agree. Shauna Pettigrew. If a judge alluded to 1/100th of what she has with the state, I'd have dismissed myself as a prosecutor on this case and put myself back in school or back behind a desk where I couldn't hurt anyone anymore. Yeah. I mean, how Judge Whitaker addresses the prosecution and have done, those should be career enders. Absolute career enders in some cases. But not in Fulton County. Not in Fulton County. Nation. You would think they would have extracted his phone from crime scene. They probably did. It shows nothing connected the dots to Stillwell. Well, that they probably would have shown. It is if it is regarding if his phone indicating a beef with another group. Hey, these guys are following me. Hey, these guys are out to get me and stuff like that. Those things in his phone would have been useful to solving that crime. But since then, investigator Bad Santa Cowboy, he already had his tunnel vision, complete tunnel vision. And he was only interested in what points to these guys. And refused to even look at stuff that might speak against it. Alda says, that Detective Hogan testified he only seen the two cars and the one that did the U-turn, but didn't see the car that that sits at the light the longest. Yeah. Imagine having that type of tunnel vision. You see what you claim is the defendant's cars, and you see the U-turn car, but the car speeding up to the lights, causing the guys to flee, and then stops. And in my opinion, you see muzzle flashes from that car that he ignores. It is characteristic catching up, but I hate the argument that liking a post or text is somehow adopting the statement. Yeah, I agree. Although I think the jury is long caught on. Don't take the world's brightest M to see what the state's doing here. Yeah. No curse, Sam. I am behind. But you were talking about beers. Looking forward to the Christmas brews being released. Some of them are really good. Christmas brews has already come out here in Sweden. Now, we in Sweden have an alcohol monopoly. The state has an alcohol monopoly. And let's see here. So this is from our government run. So we have a few Christmas ales already on the way out. Ooh, Christmas triple ale from Belgium. Ooh, that sounds nice. Now, the numbers you see here are Swedish currency. For instance, if it says 29.90, it's 2.99, roughly. Session IPA. Yeah. So there are a good few on the way out. Joey's first fan, Hogan didn't want to see, so he didn't. Yeah, I agree. Completely useless. I mean, and imagine Detective Hogan, who I refer to as Bad Santa Cowboy. He's been doing that for 30 plus years. And complete garbage at what he does. How many innocent people are in prison because of his testimony the past 30 years? Driving home for Christmas at the bottom. Which one was that? Oh, that's that's this one. Alcohol free. Yeah. No worries. Alcohol free, no worries. Driving home for Christmas beer. Yeah. It's a brown ale from Norway. Malty taste with a little sweetness. Notes of cinnamon, dates, chocolate, dark syrup, and orange. Okay. Interesting. Now, usually when a beer has very floral language on the can and stuff like that, I tend to not go for those ones because if you take that much into the labeling, I'm not so sure you're putting enough time into making the beer. Yeah, and Hilton wants us to keep looking at the I-20 traffic and not the speeding car coming. Yeah, that is really, really strange. Let's see if what they are saying on social media. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, of course, they are bringing up charge. It seems to me there's a potential that the state is going to try to throw a bunch of stuff out there. Judge Whitaker, I think that's what the state's been doing this whole trial.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor, but that's because we're still putting.
I know you're still putting evidence up. I know.
And my 403 objection isn't just prejudice, it's also confusion to the jury because, and I think this is kind of proving my point or my argument in some ways because what I'm trying to avoid is we are on the 2-yard line of getting to the end of this case. And it seems to me that there is a potential that the state is just going to try to throw a bunch of stuff out there.
I think that's what the state's been doing this whole trial.
Well,
Okay.
Yes,
Oh. All right, it seems like they are back from that little bathroom break.
guys.
This is the PDF of the Garlington's Instagram. Thank you.
Your Honor,
Yeah, I opened it and it shows nothing, nothing at all.
well, what I wanted to do briefly was it's the same Instagram return, but on 2 separate dates. There's 2 PDFs of Demekion Garlington's Instagram that have been identified in this. I wanted to combine them. We can go through separately, but I wanted to quickly merge those 2 PDFs and send to all so that there's one
Okay,
document.
why don't you do that? 'Cause I don't know why, like when I first opened it, it showed a Huey thing and Garlington, but when I clicked Garlington, there's nothing there.
It will not take me very long, Your Honor.
That's fine. Oh, there it is. Anyway, you're going to combine something and send us another link, so I don't need to look at this after all? Or
Or, not
I
if you,
can open just give it another shot. and
Yes,
we'll
Your Honor.
see. Okay. Did y'all get a chance, or Mr. Sharp, did you get a chance to
We did.
circle back on
Oh, I'm sorry.
that, the text that wanted to show that I deleted Instagram, or we need to come back to that later?
We need to come back to that.
Okay.
Ooh, Libby. What if the guy on the road, they're talking about the video we watched yesterday of the Drinks shooting. What if the guy on the road was Drinks' passenger? Drinks was set up. Usually it's the people closest to you. Yeah, but they never checked. The investigator never checked. Oh, there's a guy walking while the while the one car is making a fast U-turn. That guy is just keep walking forward as if nothing's wrong. So, yeah.
And are y'all still planning, I think at some point, state, y'all said that you don't intend to use a PowerPoint with Viverito anymore? Is that right?
yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
A squeak on the chair is more on the amount of weight you put on it.
So just kind of doing some housekeeping. So operating under the Harvey rule before everybody else was out of this case, Mr. Matthews had filed a motion in limine about the PowerPoint, and Mr. Steele had as well. I would assume that's all mooted if the PowerPoint's not being used, right? So tossing those.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but then there also was a separate motion in limine about text messages pertaining to overt act 1, 2, 3 that Mr. Matthews had filed. Is that anything we need to still take up?
No.
Okay. Toss that too. And is Mr. Kendrick's guilty plea still, are y'all still intending to tender that?
Yes, Your Honor, we did have some conversation about limits of instructions regarding both Mr. Kendrick's conviction as well as Mr. Stillwell's conviction, even though Mr. Stillwell's conviction is already in, I believe, evidence.
Y'all, I don't know if it, y'all say it is.
It is.
And so,
And I think Mr. Kendrick, I believe it was.
Y'all said that there were Stillwell, Winfrey, and Nichols convictions already in from before I was involved.
And now we have Kendrick.
And we don't have Kendrick's yet, but we're
Oh.
going to have Kendrick's in at some point.
yes, Your Honor.
And yeah, we need a limiter, and I guess I'll just say at the time when I give it on Mr. Kendrick's conviction, by the way, there was a conviction in, are they all guilty? I know Mr. Winfrey's was in Alford, right?
Yes.
Ultimately,
Yes,
the second time.
yes.
Were Nichols and Stillwell's that came in guilty pleas also?
I'd have to
I think
look
Mr.
at those.
I need to look at them. I believe they are.
Okay, I think so, but let's double check on that. And so I'll just say, that earlier in the trial, is it a conviction or more than one? Y'all need to give me the details if you don't mind, of co-defendant Nichols, Mr. Stillwell, and co-defendant Winfrey. Maybe I'll do Winfrey separately. Came in, and this instruction applies to those as well, whatever instruction it is that I give.
Yes, Your Honor. And I figured that the instruction that the court had crafted when we were wrestling with the Ryan conviction before deciding not to admit.
Yeah, so, okay. So what I
I
was
thought that
gonna read for whenever Mr. Kendrick's conviction came in was, maybe I better pull it up. Because I don't know if I think it was, let me just check my folder, see if I made any edits to it. So I was trying to think of some other things while Mr. Adkins consolidates, whatever that is he's consolidating.
Your Honor, I have now successfully consolidated in.
All right. So you'll send that over to us?
Your Honor, I uploaded it to what was that same folder that says Demikian Garlington Instagram.
Okay.
I deleted the old one and uploaded the updated PDF.
Okay.
Skipping ahead.
Appreciate back. Mr. Atkins and Mr. Abate, you can have your thumb drive back. You might need it for something else.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. All right, where should we begin on this Garlington Instagram?
It's, from my perspective, it's first of all, these are all from 2021 and 2019 is my understanding. So none of anything that's said is close in time to either homicide that my client is charged with.
Okay,
I just, my review of it was, I was unsure of what the state really wanted to get out through this and what portions of this they actually wanted to admit, so.
all right.
So
So our very first thing, I guess everything that you just sent is something that the state intends to introduce?
yes, Your Honor,
Okay,
there may be a couple, well, I pulled, these fall into two buckets. One is messages with who the state believes to be defendant Stillwell because of his Instagram handle, which is OG Bull. And Demekion Garlington is where this Instagram thread, his IG return is,
okay,
and his name on Instagram is Scarface with an X replacing the C. And so, like, the very first page is a direct message between Demekion Garlington and Stillwell. There, when we get a little bit deeper into this, there is Instagram group threads where when I'm looking at these group threads, a number of people, and when we get to that, I'll explain more, to include Mr. Stillwell are a part of. And there's a number of reasons why the state, some are for, they're just
All right,
a
we'll
variety.
just go
Yes, Your Honor.
through them. So the first one is page 2879. And the highlighted part is OG Bull saying in 2021, real 30 deep SHIT.
Yes, Your Honor. This was, the jury has heard evidence about Demekion Garlington, Kenneth Copeland, and Shannon Stillwell being 30 deep and then becoming, so it's just and this is a conversation between Demekion and Shannon Stillwell. So that one line, the state just wanted to highlight that in a private message referencing that.
The objection.
Cumulative, at this point, I think it's, if the point is to show that Mr. Stillwell has knowledge or potentially a prior affiliation with 30 Deep, I think that has been discussed ad nauseum at this point.
And so, Your Honor, the unique from the state's perspective is private group threads or messages are different than public displays. And so there's been a lot of argument and such about promotion and, you know, what someone publicly posts. So how people speak, whether on a wiretap or on Instagram, to one another in private, the state feels is relevant and has not been admitted to my memory between this specific point between Garlington and
All
Stillwell.
right, I'll admit that over objection. So the next thing is 8734. So somebody, keep up, whatever, is talking to who you believe is Mr. Stillwell, and they both say slat.
Yeah, yes, Your Honor. The state will, does not need this one.
Okay, so that's been withdrawn.
Yes, Your Honor.
Next one is 8763.
The state will not use that one either, Your Honor.
All right. 8793.
So 8793, and Your Honor, permission to remain seated.
That's fine.
Thank you, Your Honor. 8793 and 8794. So Slime Life Shorty is Wooney Lee who testified.
Mhm.
This is one of those group threads.
Okay.
So this is September 9th, 2019, he sends this flyer, which we've heard testimony about the Rudy Gang 4L. So this flyer that Wooney Lee sends is like it says, you can see the flyer on the next page.
Yeah.
It's at Cleveland Avenue Park, and it has the YSL there with a lot of what the jury has heard about of the snake emoji, the green heart, and Rudy Gang 4L, which came up some with also Rodelius Ryan's Instagram.
Mhm.
And then following beneath it, 8795,
Mhm.
you have Little Quay 1, everybody be there. And then, everyone's saying get to Crucial tonight, like they're basically wanting to celebrate. And then 1B Slime. And this is where there's some connections in terms of 1B Slime came up in Rodelius Ryan's Instagram. And this group thread, they're all talking about, and when we argued the wiretap, so there's a number, I'm a little bit all over the place because there's a lot of reasons the state wants to introduce this. This specific thread is one where if you go to page 8796,
Uh-huh.
Defendant Stillwell is a part of this because OG Bull, where he says, let's go FUCK Crucial up and get out of there the old slime way. The state feels that it's highly relevant with, you have Christian McMiller in this thread, you have Wooney Lee in this thread, you have 1B Slime, whose last name is, we talked about it last week. I'm can't remember off the top of my head, but films a music video at 2830 Waters Road, which is the address we've talked about. And you also have Unfunk, which is 2X_UNFOONK, which is the brother of Defendant Williams.
Okay.
And so,
All right.
Yes, Your Honor.
So and this is just kind of because it's, when y'all display these, it's easier, I think, for everybody to follow the parts that y'all think are relevant. You highlight most of them, but then you miss some every once in a while. And like the OG Bull, let's go F Crucial up and get out of there the old slime way is not highlighted, which took me a minute to find it, which is fine, but just that's.
Your Honor, I will. I do sometimes inadvertently do not highlight, or I miss a highlight.
It's fine. Just kind of letting you know.
Yes, Your Honor.
So I have several issues.
All right.
First of all, we're in the beginning, Slime Life Shorty posts this picture of Rudy, and they're gonna celebrate with Rudy or Rudy's memory.
Mm-hmm.
The body says 3.5 of runts because these HOES only want a perk. I don't know why that.
I don't know where you are at this point.
It says on the top of 8793, where it says body,
Oh, okay.
3 point.
Can we get that out of there? The 3.5 of runs, because these hoes only want a perk.
Yes, Your Honor, and that was yes.
Okay. All right.
My
What
other
else?
issue is that, we have this, it's coming across as a threat.
Mm-hmm.
B Slime, who's deceased. Is he not? Okay, I take that back. He is not deceased.
He'll be glad to know that.
Yes, and says, okay, Slime
Yeah,
Life Short.
He will be
1623, 423.
amazingly happy
UTC
to know
time.
that he's not deceased.
We'll just go by UTC time. YSL, the new mob, I don't know nothing about no fourth ward.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and they're talking about coming out as the mob.
Right.
Let's mob deep, though. The only way I'm going out, B
Mhm.
Slime says that. So B Slime and Slime Life Shorty are having this conversation. And then B Slime says, them guys goof troops.
Mm-hmm.
Them guys want to be us. Okay, about them guys. Fast forward 3 hours. And then the only thing Shannon is talking about is, let's go to Crucial, the old slime way, and then Tunk said we get in our original session in bottles. So we can label this as like a continuous thread, but it spans over 3 hours, and there's absolutely no evidence that Shannon was on his phone or had any involvement with.
Paying attention to the first part of it, not that the first part of it.
All he's talking about was going to a club that night.
Yeah,
And these are all words of people that have not testified, they're not going to testify.
So
I mean, in all honesty, this just looks like a bunch of people going, hey man, are we gonna go out tonight?
Right.
It better be fun if we're going.
Your Honor, the part we also haven't talked about is YSL is the new mob. I don't know nothing about Ninth Ward. And then when there is, this is what plays into the wiretap, where I have addressed this to the court before. Unfunk is, because YSL is a hybrid gang, is Goodfellas. And so when Miles Farley is getting attacked by YFN and a subset of Goodfellas in 2022, they are, when he says YSL is the new mob, knows nothing about Ninth Ward, he is talking about, they're joking because Unfunk is in this thread. And so that's why a couple lines later, he says, y'all have the mob messed up, talking about a criminal street gang. And then he says, F YSL, and they're basically like, I knew you were going to say that. And they also send a flyer for Hood Day, and defendant Stillwell sends the Boo Land, which is 87, 97. We've heard ample testimony about Big Boo in Cleveland. This same photo came up in Rodelius Ryan's Instagram. And so this is a connection between both witnesses who've testified, defendants on this indictment, co-conspirators that have a group thread that, yes, sometimes they do talk about what would be mundane topics, but other times, and when we get deeper into this, the court will see, they talk about shooting people. So this group thread is active. As anyone has had a group thread that probably everyone in this courtroom has had before, you may not look at your phone for 5 hours, but if you get a message, you can see every message, you're on it. And Instagram shows you when someone removes themselves or gets kicked out of a group thread conversation. Right. So, just like the fact that there is a group thread with a number of who the state has either presented evidence or proffered, YSL members and associates, that essentially this goes on for days, right? It's a group thread. Right. They talk frequently. And so the state's tried to highlight times when they're talking about what the state believes is, criminal street gang or RICO enterprise activity or crimes. And so this goes on for a number of pages where the state, some, just as we talked about previously with Ryan and Blaylock's Instagram, sometimes, not every comment the state is intending to show because it's a group message. But the state feels that
the fact that they're all on a group thread
that has value in and of itself, yes, Your Honor. And then the way that they communicate, for example, solidarity and fostering cohesion is what Kemp v. State and the co-conspirator case law for 801 D2E addresses. And so this kind of group thread where Winnie Lee sends a flyer, hey, everybody come out to the Hood Day, and then has YSL, it's Rudy's slimy 18th release, and, long live Rudy, Rudy gang for life. These are the same messages that 3 years later, Rodelius Ryan is posting on his Instagram of Rudy gang 4L. And so it shows to the jury and that, Wooney Lee in 2019 is in a group thread with Unfung, Shannon Stillwell, Demekion Garlington, and B. Slime is Jeffrey Williams' nephew.
Alrighty.
Yes, Your Honor.
I mean,
But why I don't understand why we would need, if the point is that there's just a group thread with a bunch of guys on it, Why couldn't we just say there's a group thread with a bunch of guys on it? Why would we need to get into what B Slime's saying about them guys goof troops? Where, again, Shannon is not actively participating. I mean, I've never, and I don't have a lot of group chats, but I've never got on a group chat and then felt the need to say, hey, man, what you said 4 hours ago, I really disagree with that.
Okay, well, you're going to have to argue that, I guess. I mean, I don't think there's anything particularly revelatory about this particular conversation, but, you know, the state can make their argument about it and the defense can make their argument about it. I hope we don't have a whole lot more of these though, because
Understood, Your Honor. So if we go a little further down after the photograph, which is 8797 PDF page 8 of Big Boo. So Shannon Stillwell says, PFK looks crazy. We're going to tear that up. I'm putting you down now. I'm on the BS. PFK is Play for Keeps, which is another criminal street gang. And so when they keep talking, he says, if we get into it, everybody go for a chain. And then Wooney Lee and 05 Driving Slim is Christian McMiller, who says, if expletive don't ride, you better ride back with the ops. You'll be safer with them. And then this is the classic fostering solidarity where they're talking about possibly getting into it at, I believe, a nightclub or somewhere where PFK is probably on Instagram. And they're like, we're about to go there. And then he says, Keep Up, We Up says, is it a particular person you're talking about who's not going to ride? And then Christian Miller says, hell no, just a friendly reminder, which again sets the tone that if something goes down, whether it's physical or gun violence, you better all ride for each other, or if not, you're going to be safer going home with the ops because you're not going to be part of the.
okay.
So.
And then that goes on for how long? Through 8800, or is that a separate one?
I apologize, Your Honor. What did you say? The
That
page number?
text chain goes through 8800?
Yes, Your
Do we
Honor.
need that part?
Your Honor, what I can do, and I endeavored to do this, but understand the court's position with this specific larger group thread, will highlight what the state believes is the most relevant of possible relevant evidence so that it does not become cumulative or something of that nature when admitting a larger thread. And what I can do is try to have accurate highlights for what the state in this group thread exactly intends to.
Okay.
Oh, yes, Your Honor. I do want 88.
Okay. All right, so then we move to 8802.
And Your Honor, 8802 is not one the state, so 2830 Waters Road, the state believes they're referencing a gentleman that goes by the nickname Big Nick. And so when he says, remember this Big Nick?
Yeah.
And then they mention.
They are not, just so you know, they are not referencing me here. They are not referencing me here. I, folks, am not an unindicted co-conspirator. Okay? It's not me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. I have an alibi. Mr. Jingles can verify it's not me.
Playing a slat talk at Crucial that night, but it's And you know, on wiretap, they mentioned shooting up Big Nick's spot, and this is a, picture of Big Nick in this thread, and he's saying, "Do you remember this?"
Oh.
But the he isn't Shannon. I mean,
So 8802, I guess, stands on its own. I don't see anything.
Your Honor, it's simply just the identification of Big Nick in this photograph to shoot. That
It's
was
not
the
me.
purpose of including this specific
It's not me.
PDF page.
Big Nick, from my understanding, any crimes involving him, whether he committed them or were committed on him, are not charged, have nothing to do with this indictment.
It's not me.
Your Honor, it's associating the home, 2830 Waters Road that was shot up is Big Nick's spot. That is Big Nick, so we're just identifying that this individual is Big Nick that resides or.
All right, that's not relevant, that's the person.
Before we go further, can I just ask, Your Honor, you said going through 8800, and then I have 8801.
I don't have an 8801. Mine jumps to 8802. I'm looking at, they just consolidated everything and sent us a new link. So is there something on 8801 that?
Your Honor, no, I do not believe there is. The reason that I combined into one PDF was these are from the same source document.
Yeah, that's fine.
I need to check to see if this document we're reading is not going to be in chronological order because I pulled myself from Demekion Garlington's Instagram at 2 separate times. So,
All right, is there anything on 8801 that I can't see that would,
It just seems to be a continuation of the discussion.
is there anything important on 8801 for the state's purposes?
I do not believe so, Your Honor. And Mr. Shart, if you're able to
It's just
pull up the Dropbox with the consolidated one, because
yeah, we have that pulled up.
Okay, you do?
Work
Okay.
off paper better, so I was
understood.
trying to mark.
All right, so y'all don't need 8801, right?
It's just a discussion about who's performing it, who is allowed to perform at club. Crucial, I think.
I do not believe, Your Honor, I don't have an 8801 in this new document
Alrighty.
that I combined.
And 8802 is out, so moving on to 8805 through 6.
Your Honor, 8805, the state does not intend to introduce.
All right, y'all are withdrawing 8805 through 6. So moving to 8812.
So, Your Honor, this specific thread
Mm-hmm.
is partly to identify that this is Shan Stillwell, because he says, OG Bull says, I'm going to meet you on Cleveland. And then they're like,
Waiting
okay,
on you, SB.
correct, Your Honor.
All right, well, assuming that isn't anywhere else in anything we've already gone through.
Well, I mean, there's a bunch of Instagram posts
There's a bunch of what?
with OG Bull and pictures of him. I think it's pretty clear. That part's pretty clear, but
Well, I guess if
It's
you're
not
not going to
huge.
debate that it's not your client's Instagram.
I'm not, but there's nothing about this. I have no objection to 8812.
Okay, so that comes in.
8832, Your Honor. Block Life OKKY, which is also one of the Instagram handles that came up in 2022 with Rodelius Ryan's Instagram that's admitted. And I believe is on the post that says, "I love all my slimes," with the snake emoji. He says, mandatory that we pull up to view Big Boo tomorrow. And then a couple lines later, GUTTA1 says, say, my man's Woody is out, which is Kenneth Copeland. And so then they start a video chat. And then what continues, this is 8832, is on the next page.
I don't have a next page. I only have 88,
32.
32.
So, Your Honor, this PDF jumps, but what ends up happening, and it's related to this thread, is there is a memorial service for Big Boo that they attend. And so this is, in the state's viewpoint, a cohesion or solidarity of it's mandatory. Everybody come to view Big Boo tomorrow.
That's fine, I think. Is there an objection?
I think it's, at this point, a waste of time under the 403 analysis. But that's my objection.
And then, Your Honor, when they actually are at the reason it skips some time is because, or PDF pages, is the next day is the day that the memorial is held. And so keep up, we up with 5 P's. That's Cormavius Nichols on page 8865. And the state feels that is, that's of course. And then if you go to 8866, you have Christian McMiller, who's 05 driving Slim. And then you have Slime Life Shorty, Wooney Lee. And then on 8876, you have Cormavius Nichols in the back. I am blanking on the name of the gentleman who has the Pittsburgh, the red P hat, but they're throwing up, which Detective Belknap, I believe on the first day of trial, testified about some of the hand signs for what was Rock Crew, and Big Boo was Rock Crew. And so they're throwing up at this memorial service hand signs, and it also shows.
So I'm sorry, the picture on page 8876, is that what you're talking about?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, that's them at the memorial service?
Yes, Your Honor. There's other photographs that have a printed graphic of Big Boo that says like Big Boo Memorial. I didn't include that specific photo, but they're wearing these same outfits.
And so this is them all going to pay their respects. Is there an objection?
Relevance, 403, wasted time, and I'll note that, to my knowledge and belief, Mr. Stillwell is not in any of these photos.
Okay, I'm going to sustain that objection.
Hey.
Yes, Your Honor. So I can make sure to follow the court's instruction, the page numbers for.
So I think that would be starting with 8864
Yes, Your Honor.
and going through 8867,
Yes, Your Honor.
I think.
Or
8876. Oh, Lord, 88. 64, 65, 66. That's all I've got on mine for that group together.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then the next thing I have is 8875 and 76. Oh, you just put those together to show. Okay, so yeah, those are out as well.
Yes, Your Honor.
75 and 76 are out. So moving on to 8902.
This, Your Honor, is one of those times where the threads, I'm going to give a little context. So Christian, there's a conversation about a female who they believe is hanging out with YFN, If Gang, the opposition. And so this kind of develops in the next couple pages. And so the first highlight is Christian McMiller saying,
Hey, this girl hangs with the ops.
correct. And then Shan Stillwell says, I told you, idiots, basically, that she's an op. And then they keep going. And if you go to 8903, I said, yeah, she's in it. She's in with their big homie. And that is Shell Kell's,
Ho.
correct. And so that the state feels is quite relevant, considering what happens in 2022 and the way that they're discussing opposition and Shell Kell and being a big homie. And then they continue to talk about what's going to happen to this female who is basically hanging out with YSL people and with hers. They say, like, basically talking about she's going to get physically assaulted next time she feels comfortable on the block. And then they continue going on, and on 8904, Demekion Garlington says she messes with the kid from the donut shop. He's 9'2". This is the same when Rodelius Ryan said F92, 9 Deuce, Inglewood family, YFN. It's all the same rival opposition group from January 10th, 2015 to March 14th, 2022. And then they send a picture of this female on 8905, and afterwards they continue to talk about like how she's with the opposition, which again, they need to know if this female is hanging out with Shell Kell and then coming out to hang out with them because they get concerned that she may, give information to the opposition gang, or they can't trust her. And so they continue to go on to talk about, and then one of the most revealing is 8908, where OGKINGG says who she's with at the park, and then Bloody Rari says Shell Kell. And then they say bait her back down there and let all the girls who love to fight, basically assault her idiot self. And then OG King says, who is Shell Kell? I believe no one's going to testify this, but I believe he's just being funny. Like, who is this? And then they say, and then Christian McMiller says Shell Kell is the main op, the one that we want. And when he says that we want, the state believes that they want to kill him. And then OG King says, I know that, like, obviously. And so the state feels that this thread is highly relevant to see how they're discussing Shell Kell, their main op, the one that they want, when you get to, what has been presented already and what it was being presented about the murder of Shamel Drinks in 2022.
So, Your Honor, what we have in this thread is talk about a girl, and now 8903, my client, in response to Slime Life Shorty saying, yeah, she in with their big homie, my client responds and indicates his belief that it's Shell Kell's girl. But then a bunch of people who are not my client, and I understand that my client's on the thread, start talking about, yeah, we should have her come over and then have other girls beat her up. From my reading of this, my client is not actively involved in any of those conversations. And then the other part of import to me is Ocean Drive Slim, who I believe to be Christian McMiller, says that declares, as a response to what I also agree is probably a joke, like who's Shell Kell? He's the main op we want.
Yeah.
I'm objecting to Christian McMiller's statements, out-of-court statements coming in. I don't believe that they would fall under 801 D2E. They're not adopted by my client. So I would object to that. And I would also object to any discussion about some silly plan. I mean, we can talk about.
I think that all the stuff about the girl is a very marginal relevance. So if the real goal of this is to have somebody say Shell Kell is the main op, the one we want.
Yes, Your Honor. That is the reason I grabbed this thread was to essentially give context to that, to lead up to 8808, I believe, the one where he says Shelkel is the main eye.
To me, Your Honor, me reading this thread is just a bunch of friends. We can label it whatever we want. I'm going to say it's a bunch of friends basically gossiping and just running their mouths and playing with each other. And Mr. McMiller says, you know, this one comment, I'm
Yeah,
reading it as sarcastic.
I'm gonna sustain the objection to this.
Hey, nice.
So does that go through 89? How far does this go?
It goes for,
Through 8912?
yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and then is it in there again, or is that a different text
So,
thread on 8910 the second time? See? We got 8910, 11.
yep, they're
again.
still talking about the rival op that they want to go kill. And so that is the same thread talking about killing the rival opposition. That the state believes Shelkel is one of the key ones in the post with Shamel Drinks and
Where are they
dissing-
talking about killing people?
when he, Your Honor, so, and I understand what, you know, this is advocacy, both sides, you know, gossiping about people. The state believes with the context of what's we're about to get into with 2022, when they're talking about sliding, I'm not the only one that's going to be dying or crying tonight, talking about spinning the block, the wiretap, where Garlington's like, let me get an assault rifle and go get a paper.
Well, when it comes to these chat threads or what you can, whatever it is, it's like having say a living room. You have 3 people talking over there, 2 people talking over there. It's still in the same room. And then all of a sudden Shannon comes in. They finish talking about that stuff. And he just inflicts something and then he walks off again. I mean, any one of you, if you're in, for instance, my family messenger, if I see in a span of a day or so, there's 50 new messages, I don't check all of them. If it really matters, they will repeat it.
Tag slider to shoot them. I just saw that guy from Summerhill, that when they're saying he's the main one we want, they're not gossiping like people would do in high school or something about friends. They're talking about a rival opposition gang leader that they want to murder. And in 2022, that whole dynamic is still readily active and apparent. So this private message between multiple YSL gang members discussing their rival opposition, no, they don't use the word kill in here, but in the cohesion and fostering that this thread readily, there's a us, there's a them, and there's, you know,
Y'all
weird-
established,
Yes, Your Honor.
I think, already that there's an us and a them. So I follow because it's highlighted through 8909. And what I'm asking is, then there's 89, 10, 11, and 12 that nothing is highlighted on. Is there something important on there, or is that just a continuation of this? Is there something significant about these next 3 pages where nothing is highlighted?
One brief moment, Your Honor. Your Honor, it's all about how they can't trust this person because they're hanging out
This
with their
girl.
opposition.
This
Yes, Your
girl.
Honor. And they don't
Okay.
want her to, you know,
All
give
right,
their
so then that is all out, if that's the extent of it. And then 80, so then I've got another 89, 10, and 11, and maybe 12. Is that just a repeat, or is that a different chain? That's the same thing over again.
repeat where we start getting close to when the PDFs combine.
Okay, I think that's all the same thing. All right, so now 89, 15. What are we looking at? And 16 and,
Let me get to. So again, They're saying she's the I better stop playing, and then they say they're mentioning 9 Deuce, the same criminal street gang.
I don't know where we
Yes.
are.
Oh,
So I'm on
80
8915. There's nothing highlighted. What am I supposed to be looking at?
So, Your Honor,
Yes,
yeah, that is a continuation from the page before, or
which I don't have.
yes, Your Honor. So we will not use 8915. And 8916, they are actively stating that someone is a member of 9 Deuce, the rival street gang.
She the op, he better stop playing.
And
So this is trying to identify people that various people are hanging and or sleeping with as either on their side or with another group.
Your Honor, I will not use those pages. I'll skip to, I won't bury the lead. Let's go to 8921 and 8922.
All
And
right.
so 8922, OG King says, tell that girl to stay in Summerhill, which is where YFN, if gang, what territory is. This shit's deeper than rap. She can't be both. You're either with us or you're against us. There's no in between. She gets beat the fuck up next time she's in
All
the
right,
park.
yeah, if you want to have that, that's at least talking about something directly that seems to be indicating this is more than who you rap with.
Now, Your Honor, I'm going to object. I understand that you're finding relevant.
Because your client is nowhere in this.
Right. I just
Conversation?
It's not OG.
Okay.
OG King,
Uh-huh.
my client, and,
Yeah.
and I don't understand how this is furthering anything.
Okay.
Your Honor, this is the group thread that he's a part of. So it's multiple YSL members talking about beating the hell out of this person.
Well,
I mean, they say beat the FUCK up next time. I think it's a highly relevant talk about exacting violence on a rival street.
well, it would be highly relevant maybe if any of these people were in trial for beating up this woman. So I don't know about highly relevant.
I guess I should say, Your Honor, I shouldn't have said relevant is not the word I meant. I meant gang co-conspirator statements of identifying an opposition gang member and exacting violence, which in the states,
Saying they're going to exact violence.
correct, which ends up being murder in the state's position with,
Well, nobody who's sleeping with both of the gang members or roll up gangs ends up murdered as far as I know of with regard to this indictment, right?
and Your Honor, I guess what I meant is, they're not just talking about, like, it's, the state feels it is gang co-conspirator 801D2E for them to be discussing exacting violence on a rival gang member amongst each other. That's the state's position. And defendant Stillwell is a part of this group thread. And so the state believes that
Well,
this
it's
is
hardly an
this-
adoptive admission because these apparently everybody this age just spends the entirety of their lives on 700 million different group threads that unless you were watching it at the time, you don't go back and say, well, what did these people say 15 minutes ago? Because it's, 1,000 different tweets or threads or whatever comments by the time they pull up their phone and see what's going on the group thread.
Yes, Your Honor.
I just think we're so far afield
We are very far afield.
from, we're talking about folk having sex.
I mean, yeah, just 403, I'm excluding all of this.
Ho ho!
We're talking about shooting Wyeth and Lucci.
I mean, yeah, that would at least have some, cogent potential connection to this trial. Yes. Where would that be?
Go to page 9839. The whole YFN is at the Chevron Blue Ivory shooting a video. Lucci's out there.
So they were at 8901. And where are they now? At page.
Potential connection to this trial. Yes. Where would that be?
Go to page 9839.
So 900 pages later, they found, yeah.
The whole YFN is at the Chevron Blue Ivory shooting a video. Lucci's out there. Gray Audi. Lucci's in it. And a black X6 truck. My rental doesn't have paper plates, but it can slide.
That seems relevant.
All right, pull up with the shit.
Mr. F,
Hadn't found 9839 yet, but whatever you're reading sounds relevant.
are we getting rid of everything?
I will check between, but I wanted to get to the most 801D2 statement I could possibly find that I think this satisfies the street gang element of trying to shoot Wyeth and
Okay.
Lucci.
All right. That's admissible. Wherever it is, that page is admissible.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Before we get there, can we I'm just trying to go in order so I don't mess myself up. 8919, I see a picture of an incredibly handsome man sitting next to me. I believe appears to be drinking a clear liquid drink. Is there any
The picture, you're talking about of Shan Stillwell?
8919.
Yep. So after that post, this is, I believe, close in time to when they had the memorial for Big Boo. I'm trying to find that page number, but it says we have to do it for Big Boo. These people are lacking, as in they don't have firearms on them, so they're easier to.
Well, I mean, they're talking about drinking.
Right.
Boy, you still drinking? Where you at? I got to do it for Boo. These niggas lacking. Like, they're not doing enough to honor him or whatever. I don't know that you can say, I mean, you can say, oh, that means they don't have guns on them, but that would be quite a stretch,
Yeah.
given the context in which it comes up.
Yes, Your Honor. We will not use that page.
All righty. So not the picture, not that page. So 8921 is like a snap of somebody's text. Is that in here for any reason?
Let me get to that page, 8920, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, 8921. It comes right after 8920.
So that screenshot of the text thread,
Uh-huh.
that it's referencing to the same female who's
The girl?
who's
Okay,
referencing
so
both
that's
sides.
out.
Yes, Your Honor.
8922 is out. So now we're on 797 and 798. What's that in here for? Because nothing's highlighted, so I don't know.
So, Your Honor, you're talking to a gentleman who's in prison. And so Demekion Garlington is talking to ODOGG_YGC, and who says, I'm at Hayes, he means Hayes State Prison. And then they continue to talk, and they're discussing and keeping abreast of what is happening with people in different investigations, where the reason that the state included this is because he's talking about someone who possibly was speaking to the feds.
Mhm.
And then I didn't highlight these. And then he says, hell no, he's on high max. He just caught a body at Macon State. And they continue to discuss when ODOG YGC says, that's what I'm talking about. He's mob. That's the Goodfellas street gang. He says he's going to do that. I'm going to blast his ass. And then they discuss when he was in prison with them. And so the state included this because it felt that Demekion Garlington speaking with this individual
Yeah,
to keep
they're
abreast of who
still
was
throwing
possibly
stuff against
speaking
the
with law
wall, hoping
enforcement
anything
is how criminal
sticks.
street gangs, gather information and can share to know.
This is such a waste of time. They're going page by page. What, 900 damn pages? Most of it is not admissible, which they should already know and don't waste the court's time with. But this is what they do. Wasting time. All the time. Why am I
Who to be
here?
wary of or who not to.
Mhm.
That's why the state included this in this thread, Your Honor. And Your Honor, the state will not use this PDF page numbers.
Okay. So then it's 809 and 810, I guess.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that just for the three highlighted things that they use the word slat? Or is there something more?
Your Honor, the state will not use, I was double checking to, no, there's nothing more in 809. And nothing, the state will not use 809 or 810. And then we get to where the thread we just discussed about trying to shoot wife and Lucci, it starts at 9839 and continues through 9840.
What?
Sorry. Hang on.
Do we know who the speakers are? Like Stick Baby to Don?
I don't off the top of my head remember, Ms. Sharp,
Okay.
who that is, but this is the
Okay.
one we just discussed.
Yeah, that's admissible.
I don't know. I don't know.
All right, so the next thing,
I understand your ruling. I'm going to object to 801 D2E. I understand the context of the statement, but I'm saying I don't know who these people speaking are. I understand on this group.
Okay, I thought y'all knew who Keep Up with the Pup. Or We the Pup,
So,
I don't know.
Your Honor, that
I thought y'all knew who that
handle is
was.
what was posting all the pictures of Cormavius. Yeah, so APD believe, so that is Trevante Turner. But this also is the handle that's posting the photographs of Cormavius Nichols 6 different times
Okay,
that we addressed at
All right.
the memorial for Big Boo.
so some unindicted co-conspirator.
So Keep Up, We Up is Trevante Turner though?
So
And then stick whatever, baby to Dawn, baby dad on.
yes, Your Honor, this is a group thread that Shan Stilwell is a part of. And again, they are 1B Slime is the nephew of Jeffrey Williams, and you have Unfunk, who is the
Right.
brother we've discussed. Demekion Garlington, whose Instagram this is obviously in this group thread because it was captured in his
Right.
Instagram.
I mean, so is there some objection that there's somebody that we don't know who can't come in as 801 D2E, or what's the objection?
My objection, right, my objection was I don't know how we can label something 801D to E if we don't know exactly who it is.
We don't have to know who it is. And if there's something other than this conversation that establishes their co-conspirator nature, then that gets over that hurdle. And I'm trying to figure out, is there anybody in this conversation saying anything that would otherwise be admissible, who all we have is this one conversation?
I can't answer that because I don't know who you're asking. Is there anyone that we don't have anything else that ties them?
Yeah,
to?
besides this one conversation. I'm trying to figure out if that's your objection, because if it's not, then.
It is my objection, and perhaps if the state is saying that Investigator Vivarito or whoever has knowledge that Stick Baby to Don is this person and Keep Up.
Okay, that's what I was trying to walk through.
And
Okay,
I don't know the answer to that question.
so you've told me that you have other things for Keep Up, whatever, that establish his co-conspirator, whether we know who he is or not, even though they think he's Turner.
So, Your Honor, yes, I'm getting that.
So Stick Baby, whomever, do we have anything more than this conversation for that person?
I do not currently have anything more about who Stick Baby the Don is at this time. And I also, Your Honor, the context of this, of them being all.
Okay, so whomever that is, he or she is alerting this group, hey, y'all, Lucci's wherever Lucci is.
Right. Yes, Your Honor. Which from this indictment and what the state believes the evidence showed is the same wife in Lucci who was stabbed in the
Right.
Fulton County Jail, and is the same wife in Lucci that Christian Eppinger is calling Sumlin to get permission to finish the job that wasn't successfully completed, and is the same wife in Lucci whose mother's home was shot
Right,
twice in
I
2015.
understand. And so we do know who 1B Slime is, and OG King is, and 2 times Unfunk is, right? And Block Life, whatever. The only one that we don't know is Stick Baby. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe so, Your Honor. I'm looking at these names, make sure I didn't miss something.
Okay.
And we know for Investigator Vivarito that Keep Up, We Up is Trevante Turner. Is that?
So that handle, I'm getting that information from speaking with APD. So that
Okay.
same handle posts Cormavius Nichols 6 times in these photos that we threw out on Big Boo's memorial. That's the same
But
handle.
from that alone, we know more than just this. So the only thing that we might not know more than just this about, or the only person, is the Stick Baby, whatever. And frankly, that's not being offered for the truth. Anyway, it's being offered to show that once that information gets out there, all these other people talk about potentially doing something, right?
Yes, Your Honor. And by doing something, going to shoot wife and Lucci.
Who's OG King? Just for my curiosity. He says, stop talking crazy in the DM.
Which I think was sound advice. Your Honor, I believe that's Big Nick, who is.
It's not me. I'm not that Big Nick. Okay. I have an alibi. Mr. Jingles can verify it.
And honestly, it doesn't really matter. I just was wondering because, Okay, so it seems that the first part of it, the only part that would potentially have been kept out because we don't know who it is, that part's not really being offered for its truth. It's being offered to show what everybody else then does. So this seems to me to be admissible. So moving on to 92.
Okay, it seems like they are having a very late lunch, and I need to get to the store before the store closes. Folks, I will be back in about 2 hours, so I can get to the store and back and maybe grab a bite to eat. I will send you over to Catnot Williams, and I think if you go back, yeah, we are roughly at the same place in this hearing, evidentiary hearing. So, all right. And no, I am not going to bribe Mr. Jingles into a false alibi. It is not a false alibi. I am not the big Nick they are referencing here. All right, folks. Thank you for now. I will be back in a couple of hours. And remember, Friday panel show at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. All right. See you in a bit. Bye-bye.
In the courthouse where time stood still, generations pass on the hill. Prosecutors come and go, defense attorneys putting on a show. Old district attorney thought she was tight, paying men to visit her at night. They said justice was blinded by her sins. As the trial spun, no one wins. Endless trial like a river flows. Truth and lies, nobody knows. Corruption's gripped tight as a vice. In this endless trial, we pay the price.